The opinions expressed by the hosts, callers, and guests are not those of DGVRadio.com, Envisage Productions LLC, its advertisers, sponsors, or employees.
You guys hear me? I'm on. All right, I'll go with it. Deputy Sheriff Ryan Philip Hendricks, 35 years old, Henderson County Sheriff's Office, North Carolina. End of watch September 10th. Deputy Sheriff Ryan Hendricks was shot and killed in response to a vehicle tampering and shooting call. A citizen called 911 at about 3 a.m. after discovering two subjects breaking into a vehicle. The citizen retrieved the firearm and confronted the subjects. One of the subjects had stolen the firearm from the vehicle, and the two exchanged gunshots. Deputy Hendricks and other deputies arrived on scene and confronted the subject, who was wanted on a warrant for parole violation. The man initially complied with commands, but then grabbed a handgun and opened fire, hitting Deputy Hendricks. The other deputies returned fire and killed the subject. Deputy Hendricks was a U.S. Marine Corps veteran and had served with the Henderson County Sheriff's Office for 8 years. He is survived by his 2 children and fiancée. Deputy Sheriff Angela Chavers, 44 years old, Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, Florida. End of watch, September 12th. Deputy Sheriff Angela Chavers died after contracting COVID-19 during an outbreak among staff and inmates, Maine Detention Center. Deputy Chavers served 18 years and is survived by her son and niece, who she had custody of. Canine Blue, 5 years old, Gwinnett County Police Department, Georgia. End of watch, September 10th. Canine Blue was shot and killed while tracking a suspect who had fled from a stolen vehicle. Gang unit detectives were at the location when they discovered two suspects sitting inside of a stolen vehicle. When officers attempted to contact the subjects, both fled on foot in different directions. Officers assigned to the SWAT unit arrived on the scene, and Canine Blue began to track one of the suspects into the woods. Canine Blue located the suspect, and as officers issued commands, the man opened fire. Canine Blue was fatally wounded. Officers returned fire and killed the subject. Canine Blue had served with the Gwinnett Police Department for over 1 year and was the agency's first canine that was assigned full-time to the SWAT unit. There have been 69 line-of-duty deaths on this day in history, dating back to 1870, when Deputy John McLean of the Colusa County Sheriff's Department, California, was shot and killed while serving court papers. He went to a residence to serve eviction papers, and the guy just didn't want to leave. So he took out a gun and shot Deputy McLean. Deputy McLean served with the Sheriff's Office for 10 years and was survived by his wife and 4 children. We will now take a brief moment of silence to honor all the members of service, police, fire, military, that have given their lives in the line of duty. And we're back at the Blue Room Podcast, where we have the right to remain silent, Christian, but
that ain't happening.
That ain't happening. Guys, we did the line of duty deaths. Last week was the 9/11 show we did on the 10th, and I can't express enough that the resources are there to get checked out. All right, if you haven't gotten screened for the 35 different types of cancers that have been identified with 9/11 workers, you need to get and do it. All right, I don't care how healthy you feel you are and you don't have any issues. God forbid you get sick down the line. All right, you cannot. I'm telling you right now, your insurance is not going to cover this. You will bankrupt your family paying for your cancer treatment to live. Okay, so it's a simple scan. You make the appointment, you go down, get yourself on the books, and God forbid something happens a year. It's been 19 years, and guys are still getting sick. All right, so next week, tomorrow, whenever you can get your ass down there, get yourself checked out and get that done. All right, it's very important. So I'm Tom Werther, Line of Duty Cigars here with Josh and Christian. Guys, what's going on? You all right?
We don't have a swear jar today.
Nothing, no swear jar?
Skip me.
All right, so there's going to be no cursing. Let's get right into it. Our very special guest tonight is Patrick Lynch, who is the president of the NYPD Police Benevolent Association union that represents all the police officers in New York City. Pat, thank you so much for coming in.
Great to be on with you. I appreciate the invite.
Hey, man, this is good stuff. Typically we like to start off with. Most times we just jump right into what's going on. But honestly, as a retired NYPD officer myself, there's a whole lot of people that don't really know much about you besides what they see in the news when you're up there fighting for us all. And you're not just fighting for NYPD, you're fighting for every cop that puts on a uniform from sea to signing sheet. I mean, as simple as that. Like, it's not secular anymore. It's not.
Yeah.
It's every time that we speak out against what's going on in law enforcement, it's never about our department. It's about our profession.
That's right.
And what you've been doing lately, not lately, I mean, it's always been that, but the amount of pressure that's coming on us now, this profession has never needed a mouth or a voice like you have, like we need right now. So thank you so much for that. And we're gonna jump into a little bit about your Pat Lynch, the man, not the officer, not the union president, but one of the things that we spoke about earlier was this misconception that you're not from New York. That you have a very specific accent. I live in Queens. I grew up in Queens just like you do. And when I travel, they know right away, New York, New York, New York. But for some reason, somewhere down the line, people started saying that you were from Massachusetts, which just is not true, right?
Lifelong city resident, born and reared in Bayside. I'm only a couple of blocks from where I started. And I'm a Queens boy. I'm a first-generation American. And, there's the accent, Queens accent is similar to a Boston accent. But no, I'm a Bayside boy.
You're not a Sox fan, are you?
No,
just checking.
I'm a Mets fan. Shadow of the old Shea Stadium. I know. All right, go ahead. It builds character.
Keep in mind that if let's say you're in Boston, for example, you say I'm a Yankee fan, and they're all Red Sox. That's like going to Al Qaeda territory. So thank God I'm not into sports.
And Chris is jumping right in.
Yeah,
that's it.
King of inappropriateness.
Good, bring it on.
Got on a job in '84.
Yeah, January 4/84. I'm in my 36th year on the job.
That's that's another one of those things that I guess if you don't really look into it, before we booked you for the show and you agreed to come on, which again we're super grateful for it. Then I start doing the research and whatnot. And I'm like, 36 years on the job, like that. I can't even wrap my head around that. Like I remember when you were running. I remember seeing you at the precinct. I remember was it Savage and Mahoney?
Yeah.
You guys were running together against each other.
Right.
And Savage was the VP then.
That's right.
So he had this this aura of not respect, but everyone just kind of assumed that he was the vice president of the union. It was a shoo-in. Much like Trump, right? He wasn't a politician.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
The guy that came out of left field and said, you know what? I think I can do this job better than anyone else, and I'm going to jump in with 2 feet. And that's what you did. Guy from the 9-0 precinct that, honestly, the rest of the city of New York, as far as the police officers were concerned, didn't know you existed. And then you're out there knocking on doors and talking to people and saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. And honestly, you've kind of held to your word. I mean, you've done an amazing job, and that's why you've held this position for 21 years. There's a lot of the unions, like the FOP, which is the huge, tremendous police union, but they don't cover one specific area.
Right.
So they've had presidents there that one guy was there for 15 years, one guy was for 10. Even on our own job, Caruso had 15 years on. I think before Matarazzo came in for a term before, 21 years. And you've still got 6 or 7 years left in your as far as aging out. This is easily just walk in. You can moonwalk through the rest of your career and continue to do what you're doing.
Well, as long as the members will have me, and the reality is you have to stay grounded. You have to stay out there with the troops. You have to stay in the command. In '99, I had a group of guys that had the eye of the tiger that wanted to take the union over and wanted to make it better, and we weren't getting good raises. There was corruption scandals, and we said, no, it's our union. We're the members. We want it. And we went out there, and we went from command to command and told our story. And we just never stopped doing that. We never stayed in the office. We constantly went out to the commands. And more importantly, get out there and tell the story of New York City police officers. We expanded our press presence hugely, and that's what it's want. That the cops, any cop, no matter where you are, want to see someone out there defending them. Look, right now, it's worse than it's ever been. I grew up in the 70s when it was bad, and 80s and 90s, crime was out of control, and we had to tell our story and how we're getting it done, why we're getting it done. Right now, in all my 36 years and my 21 as the PBA guy, I got to tell you, it's never been as bad as it is now. It's tough now.
No, it's. I wouldn't want that job. I wouldn't want to be the commissioner. I mean, how do you, the commissioner sits there and he's the liaison between the men and women and the mayor. Unfortunately, he has to answer to a higher authority. And I truly believe, and Shay came from the 4-6 where I came from.
Yeah.
I truly believe that if de Blasio turned around and said to Shay, I'm going to remove myself from this, and I need you to get the police department where it was 5 years ago, no questions asked. I have no doubt in my mind that the city would rebound so much quicker. But the problem with de Blasio is that he, just like a lot of people of power, they don't have the ability to admit they're wrong.
Well, that's what it is.
He can never just say, you know what, hey guys, I messed this up. I overplayed my hand. I thought we could do this, but you know what? Maybe now's not the time. Let's pump the brakes and get the city back.
Look, we know how to do the job. We've proved that. Crime was out of control. And it took us 30 years, but we got the city livable. The prices of the houses rose. The neighborhoods got better. Our worst of neighborhoods become neighborhoods you can't live in. When I got to the 9-0 in 1984, it was many blocks were just rubble. They were just bricks. You were wondering why you were there. Now it's the new Soho. Our members can't even afford to live there. That's a perfect example of all the neighborhoods in the city. We literally took it back block by block. So we have the ability to do it. We've proved we can do it, but we're being held back right now. Look, we have a mayor that's a communist. He's quoting the Communist Manifesto with pride. We have a city council where they forget who they're working for. They're not listening to the folks in the neighborhood. Look, there's no one more compassionate towards New York City residents than New York City police officers.
100%.
You know, they're talking policy. They're making laws that's making it hard for us to do our job. The only ones that are talking about the victims are New York City cops. Let us do our job. We know how to do it. We've proved it before.
And a lot of us live here. It's not about you're it's just a work environment, like where you leave your house and you drive 50 miles away, and some guys do, and that's great.
That's
but
hopeless.
like you live in Queens. I live in Queens.
Yeah.
It is directly affecting whether or not your wife and you can go out to dinner, and whether my wife and I can go out to dinner and sit on the sidewalk and actually have a meal. And actually, you had an incident not too long ago where the protesters showed up on your block.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I mean,
and look, you know what people don't understand? Look, they protested at my house. That's okay. You know what? We had New York City police officers to protect their right to do that. And we'll do that every single day. But what's odd now is, what is their message? You know, we've worked these details, we've worked these protests, and you have groups of people that are just literally cursing, vulgarity, like, what's your message? Aren't you supposed to be convincing people to your side?
Yep.
And the proof's in the pudding. We've lost the city in 3 months.
What?
We're back.
Oh, yeah.
We're back to shootings numbers that go all the way back to '93 when the city was out of control.
Wow.
And like you said earlier, they won't admit they made a mistake.
that's it. And it's that simple. It's that simple.
That's right.
We made a little error here, or we're going to change course. We're going to change direction a little bit. What we thought was going to work is not working. So let's try this.
That's right. How many times do you think you're going in the right direction? You talk to folks, you see it's not working, you shift gears, you go a different direction, and that's fine. People understand that. They refuse to do that,
They won't do it.
and they're pushing forward, and it's only getting worse.
So what's the answer? How do you? I mean, he's got 16 months left.
You know what?
Could it get worse? I mean,
Yeah, it can
the
get
numbers are
worse.
through the roof. The
Look,
homicides, the shootings, the
Absolutely.
retirements.
And what's happening is then you have tragedy upon tragedy. Look, let's talk through this. We had an incident where you had a young fella up in the Bronx, right? He got shot down. This is a kid that did all the right things, made all the right choices, right? Grew up in a tough neighborhood, a single mother. The single mother kept him making right choices. He himself made the right choices, taught himself some skills on the basketball court, and he got scholarships to college. And he told his mother, he goes, look, on my birthday, I'm going to tell you what college I'm going to. You know what that meant? That meant he had option. It was more than one scholarship he got. He was gunned down before he was able to announce where he was going to go. And that was a terrible tragedy that shook the city. Then what did we have? Then we had another tragedy where you had a father walking his daughter across the street.
I saw the video.
That's right. Up pulls the car with a drive-by, gun comes out the window and shoots him. And a lot of folks looked at that child getting shot, that father getting shot, and they should. But you know what I saw was when that father got shot, the kid bolted. Now, most of our kids would raise their hand, oh, daddy got shot.
Or lay on your phone like, oh my God, what's
That's
wrong?
right. But
that kid's
kid,
used to it. He
that's right.
knows.
That kid got taught, You hear gunfire, you run.
Well, even
Kid
worse
ran.
about that story is the fact that there was someone behind in a car filming it. So
That's
not
right.
only was this wasn't a random, or
That's
this,
right.
I mean, we all know it wasn't random, but it was staged, and someone was, but they wanted to video it to prove something somewhere.
That's right.
That guy wasn't just a random guy with a phone out there. Hey, look at this guy walking his kid.
Yeah.
This was set up between multiple parties.
That's right.
To film this.
And what happened with that? Because that tragedy was so bad, we forgot the tragedy of the kid with the scholarship. Then what happened? Then we had a kid in Brooklyn shot dead in his stroller.
1-year-old.
Right? So that made us
1-year-old.
forget the original tragedy. So what's happening now is one tragedy is molding into the next, and we're forgetting
You just
it.
forget about the other one.
And we're getting numb to them.
Yep.
And
The 6-year-old
those are
kid at the West Indian or the Juve the jump off the night
Right,
before. Really?
and what's you
And
know
they've
what's-
forgotten about that.
That's right.
That's gone until the next one.
And you know what's insulting about that? We had our elected officials saying, "Hey, last night was pretty good because we had less people shot and killed than we did the year before."
Crazy.
Well,
They-
that bar is
Unbelievable.
too low.
They considered that a success. They actually
That's
he said it was a success.
It was not a success. You had a child that was getting out of the cab with the mother, and they got shot. Innocent bystanders. And those rounds are always finding the wrong people. And you know what? You know what they're doing there? They're whispering those words that say it's gang related. They're killing each other. Well, I'll say it. I said we can't do that. One death, no matter who it is not enough. Remember the day when we brought the shootings down, and if you took one shooting in the command, the CO would come in off vacation, the operations lieutenant would meet you at the door. They'd be yelling at you, get out
Yep.
there and find out who it is. That's
Figure
with
this
one
out.
shooting. Now we're just getting numb to the numbers.
Yeah.
Well, it's only cops that are responding to the job and seeing the human element, that it's a child, it's an innocent person, or it's someone that's a gangbanger. But you know what? We shouldn't allow that.
Well, it's
And we're allowing
a
it.
great point because that's the excuse. Oh, it's a gang related thing. It's not an everyday occurrence.
That's right. They're killing each
It
other.
is an everyday occurrence because you know
That's
what?
right.
That 6-year-old is not a gangbanger.
That's right.
Mom and dad might be.
That's right.
And the intended target might have been the person standing to the left or the right of that kid. But the bottom line is there are 6-year-old dead because of it.
That's
So
right.
you just dismiss it. Oh, it's gang related. The
right.
gang guys are deal with it, and maybe we'll find them. Maybe we won't.
That's
Move
right.
on to the next tragedy.
And who's the only ones that are talking about it, talking about the victims?
Us.
New York City cops.
Us.
Yeah.
It's just us.
Yep. Yep.
Crazy.
Do you think at the speed that at the rate that they're going, right, the city as a whole,
Yeah.
when it comes to crime, do you think it will reach Chicago levels, or even
think-
may surpass Chicago
I think
levels?
we're almost already past it.
It surely could. We can catch up to Chicago numbers, but we shouldn't be satisfied with that. We should right now say, look, we have to go back to the way we did the job. But you know what's happening now is, the 70s. Look, we did this experiment in the 60s. I grew up in the 70s. The city was out of control. It took us the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, 3 decades to bring the city back under control. We don't have time to allow it to go back there. This is not an assembly line where you can speed it up. We're making widgets. It takes time. What's happening is no respect for police officers on the street now. Our elected officials are leading that drumbeat that's allowing them to disrespect police officers, and they're emboldened. And they're out there, know that, hey, we can do what we want. We can disrespect the cops. The administration is holding us back from doing the job, and that leads to victims on the street.
But they also know that if they get arrested, they're out. I mean, it started like last year when they were throwing the water on those cops.
Oh,
and that just
That
blew my mind.
that-
How do you allow that?
That was-
10 years ago, that guy's in the hospital, and then he's going through the system. But even if he gets locked up now, he's out 4 hours later to do that again. How do you allow that?
Well,
If that happened in a school,
Sure.
if a kid is in a school and throws a bucket of water on a teacher, that
right.
kid's expelled.
That's right.
He's out. He's gone.
Yeah, but that's allowed. It's okay.
Well, it's accepted.
It's just accepted. It's a symptom of something else. No, it's a symptom of you saying that we don't need law and order on the streets, and you absolutely do need that law and order, and you need respect for police officers to do it. And right now, they're making us the criminal.
It's unbelievable.
And it's beyond unbelievable. Look, back in the 80s and 90s, we used to say, hey, you know what? The perps are out before we finish the paperwork in central booking. Quite frankly, we were being a little dramatic.
Yeah.
But you know the reality is? It's true now.
It's true.
100%.
Yeah, and I reuse this example often on the show, is that if you're walking down the street with your wife or husband and get punched in the face and there's a cop right there, that guy is going through the system and is back on that same corner before you're out of the hospital getting your mouth stitched up. That's the truth.
You think of these crimes where you're getting DAT, which means you basically get a
You get a
summons,
ticket
you
and
put
you're
back
out.
out on the street. That's what's happening. While we're still in the station house doing the paperwork, they're back on that street corner. Do you think just because we're letting them out early that they're going to go and be upstanding citizens? They're not. They're going to go back
they
to the
learn
same
their
corner.
lesson.
Exactly.
And that's after we let everyone out of Rikers Island.
Yep.
They're talking about we have the lowest numbers in Rikers Island
Let 'em all go.
since World War II. You know what those folks do? They go right back to the same street corner. They look around and they set up their business again.
Well, that's the bail reform. There was a guy in Chicago last weekend. He's in jail for shooting a double homicide.
Mm-hmm.
He gets released. He gets locked up for a third homicide. Guy in New York City, same exact scenario. In on a homicide, gets released, and now he shoots and kills someone else. Now he's back in jail.
That's
why are they I get the whole parole thing. Look, if you killed somebody, you shot somebody, whatever you did, and you served your time, they got to get back out. That's one thing. But before the trial even started, you're back out to do the same crime again.
Right.
I don't understand. They call it progressive policing or progressive bail reform. It
Thank
doesn't.
God you
make,
didn't say reimagined policing. I hate that.
Uh,
You say that reimagined
Yeah.
policing. Or do we have it written down
Also-
somewhere?
No.
Yeah, cross it off your paper.
Also-
reimagine,
Also, if I'm not mistaken, right,
which you probably are.
Which you probably are. But go ahead.
there is I would say a law for the NYPD to let's say I'm walking down the street, right, and I'm a witness to a murder, right, and I go speak out, right. They usually put me as anonymous witness. Under that law, under New York City, my identity, my home address will be revealed to the criminal.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why? What is up with that?
Well, so you're talking about you're a witness to a crime, and you do the right thing. You go to the police and you tell your story, right?
Yeah.
And then you go through the courts. Within 15 days, they have to give your information to the defense attorney. Now, the defense attorney is representing sometimes gangsters.
Right. Yep.
So those gangsters go and find you, intimidate you. So what happens? You're afraid now to speak out. You'll never speak out again. But more importantly, it sends a message to the other citizens to say, look,
Keep your mouth shut.
don't get involved.
Well, let's be
Well,
real.
it's even worse.
Don't be a snitch.
It's even worse. No, forget a snitch. What if you're the actual victim? Break into your house, either commit a burglary or worse. God forbid there's a sexual assault in your house. And then the person that did that has the ability to visit back into your house, can stand in your living room again with the defense attorney to provide their defense, to build their defense on that. I can't wrap my head around that.
I have no words for that, honestly. Like,
the
who
whole-
came up with that idea? Why? What's the purpose behind all of this?
You know what?
I'm asking myself.
It's a big system. If you find someone that's in jail that shouldn't be, that was treated unfairly, then take that case, investigate it, prove it, and
Absolutely.
then let them out. I'll be the first one to say, look, no cop wants to put an innocent person behind bars.
And it happens.
That's right.
It happens.
And it happens, and don't hide from it. That's right. But you saying everyone that's in Rikers Island because it's before trial should be released, then you know what? Speed up the process where they can get a fair trial, and any cop will say that, a fair trial, and they're convicted or they're proved innocent, and they're released. That's fine.
And
Don't
you-
sit in Rikers for 2 years.
But let
Right.
let everyone out. It doesn't work that way.
Do you know what's really worse? The reason why they're releasing criminals from Rikers Island is because of coronavirus. It doesn't make any sense to me, because if they want to protect inmates from COVID, why not give them masks, gloves, give them the
That's right.
necessary equipment
That's
to
right.
Or why
to
just keep them
and
in there?
inmates? Why release the inmates so they can get infected, or they can spread the infection to others and
right.
commit crime?
If you're in Rikers Island and you're not being treated humanely, we should. It's our responsibility
Right.
to do that. Treat them humanely, but releasing them out onto the street. See, people ask how come the city is where it is at this point, and they're looking for one simple answer, and it's not one simple answer. It's a slide.
Yep.
It's some of the things we just talked about.
Multiple
the bail
variables.
reform. Right. So a number of things have happened, and then right now they're saying they're trying to blame the cops that there's a slowdown. No, there's not a slowdown. We're doing the job by the law that you created. For instance, now there's a diaphragm law. Everyone likes to say it's the chokehold law,
yeah.
but it wasn't. There's a state law that's it's against the law to use a chokehold. Okay, it's there. We'll abide by it. But now they say it's a diaphragm law, so you can't subdue someone from the neck to their belt. Now, I don't care if you're in a schoolyard fight or you're a police officer trying to subdue someone. You cannot win that fight by not being able to touch the whole middle of someone's body.
Well, there's no rules in a fight. When
That's
you
no
fight
rule.
for your
Right.
life,
That's
there's
right.
no
Correct.
rules.
That's right. And that's unsafe for us as police officers, absolutely. But you know who else it's unsafe for? The perp. It's unsafe. Look, we want to subdue them. cuff them, and put them in the process, and then it's over. Now you can't even do that. And everyone on the street is fighting with you. At one time, you'd roll on a job just by being in the bag. Probably 60% of the job was resolved just by you being there in uniform.
Having a conversation.
That's right.
Yep.
Now it's accelerated because they say fight. And why wouldn't you fight and flee? Because you might get away.
Of course.
We talked about it for years. We said talk someone at the cuffs. We honestly, I'm not patting myself on the back on the guys I work with, but we didn't fight with a whole lot of guys. And the place I worked in the 90s it is what it was. But we were able to talk guys in the cuffs all the time.
Hey.
Why? Because they knew the alternative.
That's right.
They knew the punishment for the alternative. They didn't want to get into a fight with us. They knew they would lose.
That's right.
Just take care of it. Take your medicine. Go to. You're out tomorrow anyway.
That's right. Hey, what's the best fight is the fight that's avoided. You know, they gave it a name now. They call it de-escalation. You can give it a name all you want. We've been de-escalating for years. You start by talking. You try to be respectful to someone. You say, look, here's what's happening. This is what you're being accused of. But if it's not working, we're still cops. We have to say, you're on the risk.
At some point, you got to
put your hands behind your back.
Verbal judo. They taught us verbal judo in the academy.
Bingo. They just keep changing the name like they're reinventing what we do.
They're not reinventing it. Just if you can speak to somebody, and again, like any other profession, there are folks that probably shouldn't be cops, and they act a certain way. That's such a small percentage. I have this discussion with some of my other friends that don't really support what we're doing.
News. You don't have friends.
No, I do. I have. It's my wife's friends actually.
All right, well, that makes sense.
And I say to them, I said, "You know me. Am I a good person? Am I a person that if I was called to your house, am I the person you want to deal with?" And they say yes. And I say, I am representative of 95% of law enforcement.
That's right.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy 95%. That 5% that you read about, because every guy that I locked up that got locked up without having to actually roll on the ground with, they count for something.
That's right.
You only hear about that 5%. I could give you numbers. I mean, when they released when they repealed the 50A, they had the CCRB link that you can go on there and you can see the pages of complaints.
Right.
For a place where I worked, I had very few. We did things that certain people had 12 pages of.
Yeah.
All right, you got 12 pages of complaint. There's smoke that might be fire, but it is what it is. You got to be a cop. You can't.
Right, but
we're not social workers.
Even that, look. Even making a CCRB complaint, you want fairness. Look, as a union, all we ever ask for is fairness in the process. So they're saying, they swear a police officer in to make sure we're telling the truth when we get our GO15, as we call it. You're getting interviewed, right? All we ask is, if the complainant wants to make a complaint on a police officer, have them swear in too. If it's the truth, right?
Yep.
But they fight that. A city council, the assembly, it'll reduce the numbers. Yeah, it'll reduce the numbers of false accusations.
Yeah, because you're held accountable for it.
Correct.
And then they'll say, it's unsubstantiated. You couldn't prove it. Well, why you still counted that towards a police officer's career? You're exonerated. So they'll say, well, they were exonerated, they had unsubstantiated, but they're still counting it as a whole number. Again, fairness in the process. If it's exonerated, shouldn't be counted.
Gone.
That's right.
Erased.
But that's never going to happen.
Especially with the cameras now, with the body cams.
That's right.
If that body camera's there and everything that this complainant said was shown that was all false, then the complaint is erased. It never existed.
And let's look at the body cams. You had elected officials. We want to put body cameras on the cops, and then and the ACLUs of the world, and we're going to find out how bad the cops are. You know what they found out? That when they watched the video, oh man, look at this. The cops are doing their job properly,
Exactly.
appropriately,
And
constitutionally.
The same ones that fought for it.
That's right.
Are fighting against it, saying, "Well, now
That's right.
now you're fighting
And
their
no,
violating
because it
privacy."
proved
They're
them
disappointed.
wrong.
That's right.
It
Bingo.
proved them wrong.
That's right.
That's why.
Here's the thing: they can't sue for this now. Now they realize that they proved it wrong, and now I can't get my $50,000 because De Blasio loves just paying people off.
That's right.
Bloomberg didn't do it. The first thing De Blasio did when he got in his office was he paid off those the Central Park 5. And I talked to a couple of guys that worked on that case, and look, that's as legit as it gets. Those guys are guilty of sin just because the DNA wasn't recovered there, which means they didn't leave DNA. They are as guilty as sin, and he couldn't wait to pay those guys that money, $45 million or some crazy number.
Jeez.
Where Bloomberg said, no, absolutely not. They're guilty. I'm not paying them. And De Blasio, when he was in that not even 3 or 4 months, he paid those guys off.
Wow.
Look, again, fairness in the process.
Yeah.
Do the investigation. How many times did you'll have a shooting? And they use the same words all the time. I saw that video. It's very disturbing. I don't think that should have happened. We're going to investigate. Well, you've already determined that the police officer is wrong by your opinion.
Yep.
So where's the investigation going to lead? Again, fairness in the process. That's all we ask.
We
Let
have
the evidence go.
we are robbed of our presumption
That's
of
right.
innocence.
Yes.
That's right.
We're,
Michael Brown. I mean, it was hours old.
That's right.
And they were already convicted.
2009.
Right, and look what they're trying to do now. They're trying to demonize police unions across the country. Even other unions are pointing towards police unions, saying we shouldn't have the same rights. Look, we shouldn't have the right to fairness. We shouldn't have a right to due process like anyone else. And then they demonize you if you stand up and speak out and tell the police officer's story. We're not supposed to do that. That's what a union does. Look, police unions are no different than any other union. We want to make sure that our members are treated fairly by speaking out for them, providing them an attorney, and demanding due process. Well, they want to take all that away from us. They want to just summarily be able to fire you, guilt or innocent be damned.
Well, when you get like Zamolgru is the UFT, providing opinion on the way the police unions are run. Listen, as a union, your duty is to defend your members, irregardless of whatever it is.
That's right.
There's not a presumption of anything.
That's
It's I don't care what you have been accused for. So in the Bronx with the guys that the Diallo shooting, they screamed and hooted and the union said, no, we're going to protect these guys right to the end. We're going to give them a fair trial. That's our job. They pay their dues so that they have that. And the teachers are the same thing. How many kids are abused, and that union protects them until if they're convicted, they're convicted. And then we're done with you.
If there's an investigation and it was done properly and the evidence leads towards guilt, then so be it.
That's it.
It is what it is.
You've done your best.
We don't say anything. We were treated fairly, and that whether guilt or innocence. That's what they're trying to take away from us. There's a battle and an attack on unions, police unions. And you notice I never separate the two, except they're making us now.
Yeah.
We're just asking for fairness and due process.
They've turned it to us versus them. They really have.
100%.
Well, that's what it is. And cops really aren't like that. They accuse us of that, but we go out and do the job. We see the human people that are out there. We see the victims that are out there. They're trying to turn it into us against them. They're doing it, not us.
I'll tell you what, a big, really sticks in my jaw for a long time is the fact that when a cop gets suspended for whatever it is, they I wouldn't say automatically, but on most cases, you probably know the number better than I, but I would bet more than 75% of the times that officer is suspended without pay. So now you have someone that's accused of doing something, and you're innocent until proven guilty, so we're going to take 30 days pay away from you. 30 days that I can't, may not be able to pay my mortgage or feed my children. And, especially earlier on in your career, you are living paycheck to paycheck. I don't care who you are, unless you had, did well before you got on the job. That first 10 years, you're living check to check. You really are. And it may be even longer than that. Maybe, you're in the middle of a divorce or whatever. Like, there's lots of that going on that they just automatically take your pay. How are you going to take the pay away from an officer that's just been accused of something? There's a presumption of guilt there. I'm punishing you now for something that we don't even know if you did. But you know what? We're gonna take it away anyway. To lose your salary for a month, that's a huge deal.
Because what they're doing is they're trying to create headlines. Rather than saying there's going to be an investigation, it's going to be fair, allow it to go forward, and the results are what they are. That's all we ask.
Just let it go. But even now, though, that doesn't happen. Every time there's a shooting, the guy in Pittsburgh, the family call because the kid was attacking a brother or whatnot. We had a knife. The officers show up. He's got the knife above his head, about to attack the officer, and the officer shoots him. So they rioted in Pittsburgh. So if those cops were called to that scene and the kid had the knife out and he was going after a neighbor or a family member and the cop did nothing and that person got killed, now they're vilified. Like, you can't have it both ways.
It's a no-win.
But it's all a plan to demonize the police. You talk about defund the police. Now, how crazy can that be? Anybody thinks that there shouldn't be police on the street? It's absurd.
You see what's going on in Minneapolis now. The city council had that meeting, and they were actually crying about it. The same ones that were talking about defunding are like, my constituents don't feel like there's enough police. Like, wait.
Yeah, they're not handling jobs.
Right. And you know what always comes to my head? What did you think was going to happen?
Right.
Yeah. Honestly, what did you think was going to happen?
I don't understand. We're the only country that we're hearing this phrase, defund the police. You don't hear that in Europe. You don't hear that in India. You don't hear that in Japan. Why here? Why?
They're letting the activists on the street guide policy, and it shouldn't be that way. Look, how many times have you heard elected officials, like in our city council in the city, say, "I'm an activist legislator"?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
You're a lawmaker. So you're supposed to take the evidence. You're supposed to take what's being said in the street. You're supposed to go back inside and quiet and deliberate over the truth, and then come up with: do we need to change the law? Do we need to make a law? And that's not what they're doing. And
Exactly.
and it all goes to the demonization of police
It's,
officers.
it's by pure emotions.
Well, it's
That's
a lot
right.
easier to write a new law than it is to fix the one that's there.
Right.
And they do it all the time. They go, we're not going to amend this, or we're not going to try to enforce this. We're just going to write another one that overrides that and makes the job even harder.
That's right.
Like, well, why don't we work on what's here? The same board, the same assembly in New York State passed a law a year ago, and it's not working. So instead of fixing that, we're going to write a new one that wipes that out, but then makes it even harder. Like, just you guys wrote the freaking law. You guys passed it. Find a way to enforce it. The problem is that, especially in New York, is that Cuomo runs the ship. Cuomo, like with the SAFE Act, he presented it to the Assembly on a Friday afternoon. The freaking act is like the size of the patrol guide. They had to read that over the weekend and vote on a Monday.
Wow.
They didn't read that thing.
That's right. How many jobs can you have? You say you voted on something, and then when it goes bad, say, "Well, I didn't read it." Well, that means you didn't do your job.
You didn't do your job.
Right. We couldn't do that in the police department. Well, I'm sorry, boss. I didn't look at it. Well, then you'd be in trouble, and then you'd be getting disciplined.
When they said you couldn't
Right.
have more than 10 rounds in a magazine, right? Cops carry 15. So for a year, every New York City police officer was committing a felony by carrying 15 rounds in the magazine. It took a year for them to change that. For Cuomo to go, oh, you know what, we missed that. So hold on. So the whole assembly that claimed to have read it or didn't read it missed that? No, they just voted on it because the dictator said, hey, this is what's going. It was a response to Sandy Hook. This is what we're doing.
I like that. Well done. I picked up on it.
And dropped it in front of them, and they all, because the sheep just follow. The sheep just follow.
That's right.
And they just signed off on it. Realized, we missed that. How do we miss? You missed it because you didn't read it.
Right.
Simple as that.
That's right.
I get what you're going for. I get what the Second Amendment is getting shredded. If you're going to vote on it, at least read it. Own that. And they didn't own it.
That's right.
They changed it.
Yeah.
Oh, we did an amendment. Now you can carry 15.
Well,
listen,
are you aware that Trump already designated Antifa as a terrorist organization? Mayor de Blasio, as we all saw, right? He helped painted the Black Lives Matter mural, quote unquote. I don't think it's a mural. I think it's a graffiti in highest quality I've ever seen, right? And they did the same thing in Patterson, the Black Lives Matter on the road. Since Black Lives Matter is now a terrorist group, do you think the mayor should be charged for supporting a terrorist group?
Look, what they should do is, saying Black Lives Matter or any lives matter, that's true. Lives should matter no matter what. Right. But you're talking about a movement. We have to look and say, well, who's running the movement? What's their philosophy? If we're giving money to it, where's the money going? And if you start tracking the money, you see where it's going. And it's going to those people that are causing mayhem on the street. Every cop would protect your right to protest. There's no such thing as a mostly peaceful protest. It was either peaceful or it wasn't. And look, we're good at doing this. We're good at allowing protest. We protest. When we're trying to get a raise in fairness, we protest.
And we're good at
protect
controlling
your right.
them.
But we don't pick up a brick and throw it through the window.
Right.
We're not going to... Look, you're talking about in the city, we had on each night, we lost 3 boroughs to rioting. Now, in my time in the job, you had Washington Heights, you had Crown Heights, you had Thompson Square Park, all different times. We're talking about each night, 3 boroughs erupt into riots, not protests.
It was scary. It was scary to hear. And you said that you guys specifically are great at moving bodies. That's the way I describe it. I mean, it probably comes from, Times Square alone. You guys manage crowds. You hear the SRG and everything on the radio. And the night where all these things started kicking off, listening to Citywide, like, again, I monitor Citywide, and you hear it. I'm like, yeah, these guys got it under control. I think it was the 8-0 or the 8-8 that they stormed. Mm-hmm. To hear the chaos on the radio was scary enough. Sitting from where I was, I'm thinking, holy shit, if these guys are this overwhelmed. But then to hear the CO on the radio, who's calling for help, but the radios were chirping left and right. And he broke in, he finally said, listen, this may be the last transmission I make. Can I please get help?
That's right. That's 6-7.
I mean, that's...
Well, that humanizes the job. It's like, what was it, Dia? Officer Dia, when his last transmission is tell my wife I love her?
That's right.
Like, that humanizes what we do, whether you're whatever rank you're at or whatever position you're in any police department. That humanizes, like, we're not thugs, we're not out there. We're like, I just want to get home to my family.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just sitting in my car, like, I'm a grown man, almost crying in my car, because I'm thinking, what the hell? No curse jar. The heck is this guy seeing?
That's making him that transmission.
That's the transmission that comes to his head. This may be the last time I key up my radio. How bad does it have to be? Again, for a department that is used to moving crowds, that's NYPD moves bodies. Like, that's their thing. And
yeah, but you know what? Detroit moves bodies too, and they were told they had a judge sign off saying that in the peaceful protest they couldn't use the tear gas, the pepper spray, they couldn't use the rubber bullets. And Chief Craig, our friend over in Detroit, had a great response. He's like, "We would never use those manners in a peaceful protest."
Right.
That's it. You don't have to control a peaceful protest.
Exactly.
But when they start burning and looting and trashing places, well, then it's elevated, it's escalated, it's doing something more.
Right.
Like, and you hit it right on the head, though, when you talked about the president earlier, that the union, which is very vocal in their local elections, took an unprecedented stance and said, hey, we need to get behind the current president. We need to get behind President Trump because this is not a local problem. This is a federal, this is a global
national
problem. This is it really is. And if you and by doing that, I think the FOP got on board, and lots of other unions that normally wouldn't have made that declaration have done so because they realize this isn't about my department. This isn't about New York City. This isn't about New Jersey, Jersey City, Newark. This is the whole country. The law enforcement community as a whole is being destroyed. And if you don't have someone at the top that's looking out for you, then you've got nothing.
Well, it's like Sheriff Clark said. We should be apolitical, but we've been dragged into this. We have no choice now.
It's about an attack on the profession, and you have to look at our jobs as a profession.
Yeah.
You're professional police officers. We've professionalized ourselves. We've gotten our training to make us better at the job. We learn from past mistakes, and that is not allowing us to take that training, take our skill, take what we know, and do the job. So you're seeing law enforcement groups across the country saying, wait, something has to be done. It has to stop now. And we need a strong voice that will speak common sense. And that's not what's happening. People are talking around what the problem is. You ever see a politician, you ask them a question, and you start talking. By the end of it, you don't know what they said.
Yeah.
Right? This is
like
look,
Joe Biden.
policing is not difficult. It's common sense.
But our specific mess that we have in New York City is directly related to the national. Like you can't address it locally. It just can't be. It can't be because not like you can't look at the governor and the governor's going to say, hey, when Shea turned around and said that he spoke to all the DAs and the DAs said we're not going to prosecute any officer that uses force versus someone's neck for the diver. So Monahan on the bridge did the very thing. He grabbed someone by the neck. But a week earlier, that cop in Rockaway, 100 Precinct, same. I mean, that guy. They spent 30 minutes trying to de-escalate that.
That's right.
And eventually, it got to the point where they're like, all right, speaking and talking about this is not going to cut it. You're under arrest. And the video that they showed was them laying on him, trying to wrestle him down. What they don't see is that 20 seconds later, the guy's standing up. And he was walked off.
That's right.
Like
and it was over.
It was done.
He was put in a bus to get the help he needs and placed under arrest.
Finished.
That's what our job is.
Oh, and by the way, that guy got locked up for robbery in the Bronx like 2 weeks later. And then another robbery either in Brooklyn or Queens like 2 weeks after that.
That's right.
Well,
is what it is.
That's the thing. I mean, the average people, making these laws, they don't know what it's like to have to look somebody in the face and say, you know what, you're under arrest.
That's right.
And that person then to ball up their fist and go, you know what, not today.
But it even goes further than that. Let's look at the parole. In New York State, everyone is getting out on parole. Now you have cop killers that are being released. We have our line of duty families that go give a victim's impact statement. Every 2 years, they have to relive telling that story. And time again now, they're releasing them. At one time, we tell the families, look, go through this process, it's fine. They're not going to let them out. We can't say that anymore. No. They are letting them out. Violent. So you've killed a police officer. And look, we were talking out here before. It's good and evil. And some people are evil. That's what I believe. And they're convicted, life without parole, and they're still letting them out.
Yep.
And it's disgraceful. Time after time again in New York State, they're letting them out. So they emptied Rikers Island. They demonized the police. They've changed the laws. We can't do our job. Now, for good measure, let's let those old-timers that are in jail out. Now, remember, they're giving them the senior exemption, because they're older.
They found their way. They're 65. They're not going to.
Some of these guys are 50 years old.
Yep.
That's not old. You're not a senior citizen. You're a guy that got convicted, found
I'm
guilty.
almost 50.
Yeah.
Well, old.
Some of us are older than others.
Holly's over 50. But then we did get a win today. So there was a circuit court, the second district circuit court overturned. Well, put a temporary hold on the 50A.
Right.
So they're going to hold off on that a little bit. But I mean, the cat's already out of the bag. I mean, they've already released enough information.
Every one of our fights now is an uphill fight, so we take each victory as it comes. And what's that based on? The same rules for everyone else, that privacy should be allowed for police officers. For us particularly, it's a safety issue. But they want to release every aspect of it, every bit of record, your home address released. Look, we've had police officers that had bombs put in their mailboxes. This is in the city of New York only a couple of years ago. So it's a real issue, but they're trying to ignore it. That's this drumbeat of demonize the police and make it impossible. Again, it's not that they want to defund the police. It's not that they want to retrain the police. They don't want policing at all.
Some of them do. I mean, you hear some of the crazies that are screaming. I mean, AOC, God bless her heart. Yeah, I mean,
God bless her heart.
it's and her and Ilhan Omar. Like, they'll tell you outright, like, taking money. No, we want them gone. Like, and it gets into that whole reimagine, and they're reimagining. They're thinking of like a citizen patrol and social workers.
Let's look at was it with Portland, where they took a whole section of the town and this is now our town, right? They don't want any policing. It's gonna be monitored just by us. What was the first thing they did?
Set up.
Somebody took out their guns, right? We're going to work the checkpoints at the gate.
Yep.
What did they do? They
set
took
up-
the policing role. I
they
thought
set
you
up a
didn't.
border.
You didn't want the police.
And then the first was the call police when there were like 2 murders in that. And, and that's what eventually
It defies
shut that
logic.
down. It was
The
like,
hypocrisy's everywhere, and you were talking about with like the I don't know. We used to talk about the snitches or whatever. You know,
snitches get stitches.
I keep thinking of it was Chicago with the 15-year-old boy that was shot. I mean, the absurdity of the whole situation. I mean, he's 15 years old. He's getting shot at 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning. He got the way the story went is he got into an argument with the passenger of a motor vehicle. So I don't know what argument a 15-year-old is getting into with anybody that he deserves to be shot. Well, the passenger of the motor vehicle got out of that car, shot the kid in the chest and the face, and still nobody's been arrested for that. So you know, I hate when we talk about demonizing cops, and you hear the good thing. Well, if the good cops would just stop covering for the bad cops, and the same people that will spit that out are the same people that were driving that car when the passenger got out and shot a 15-year-old in the face and hasn't said a word, hasn't said anything, but they're going to sit in judgment of cops. And we all know, we said it on pretty much every show, nobody hates a bad cop more than a good cop.
More than the rest of us.
That's right.
But, and I always tell people when I said, did you ever try to get a witness to a crime that happened in a crowded housing complex in broad daylight? You know, like I said, cops didn't invent snitches get stitches. That wasn't a cop's saying. And these are the people that's the drum they're going to beat.
Well, I think a lot of the situation is now been created is because of like the mayors and the commissioners that aren't supporting their cops. Now, I know I lived through the Giuliani years, and I know that the union had some really strong opinions on him. And I get into this discussion on Fakebook all the time about guys saying, "Well, you remember the zeros? Remember the zeros?" And I challenge any cop in New York City right now to say, I would rather take a 10% raise and continue to work like this without the support of the mayor and without the backing of the commissioner over 10%. I'll take that money. I'll take that zero any day of the week to work in an environment where these guys have your back.
Look,
straight up.
What Giuliani was, he didn't treat us fairly with the raises. We got 3.5 years.
But he also promised something he didn't come through with. It wasn't even like it was a blank statement. He promised something, and then he went back on it.
That's
which
right.
is,
And he should have done it, and he could have done it, and
of course
he didn't do it. But what he did show is that New York City can be managed. Right before that, when we were growing up, a city can't be managed. The saying was, keep the lid on the garbage pail. Jeez. Well, now he proved that it can be managed, and it took us 3 decades, and we made the city a livable place, a place everyone should be proud of. I surely was. Now in a short time, because the attitude from City Hall, a city council that's just following blindly, it's all sliding back. So we need to manage the city.
But he handed it to Bloomberg, and Bloomberg actually just copied that stuff and did the same thing. I'll tell you what, the biggest, it kills me that Bloomberg actually did it when he apologized for Stop, Question, Frisk. They shoved that down our throat. They shoved it down our throat, saying you have to stop you could listen. Active cops are always going to stop and question people. You didn't need to shove that down anyone's throat. Active cops will do it, and they'll do it safely, and they'll do it legally,
and they'll do it constitutionally. That's
of course.
Right. And look, what was the real problem there? Was it the technique of stop, question, sometimes frisk? No, it was the quota. where they were pushing people to bring a certain number in.
You had to have
and we
numbers.
talked to the city council and said, look, the problem is not that technique. It's used across the country. We think it should be used constitutionally. We
Sure.
agree with that. And we don't mind being held accountable to do it that way.
If you can explain why you did it.
That's right.
Articulation.
But instead of going after the quota, where they made you bring a certain number, they demonized. So now what happens?
But
now
the
you can't
quota
stop
didn't
anybody.
exist, though.
Exactly. So they don't want to listen to fairness and come up with a product that works. And that's what they should have been doing. They didn't do it. Now, all these things we just talked about, we've been talking a while now about all the different things that they've done. It's like the straw that broke the camel's back, and now they're wondering why.
Why?
And they're still trying to demonize police and say it's our fault.
Well, it's like a business. If and we've talked about this in the past. If you have a business and you have 100 people that produce 100 widgets, and then you take 70 or you take 30% of that workforce away, that 70% cannot produce the same 100 widgets. They just can't do it.
Right.
Unless you work around the clock, and they piss and moan about
That's
it.
right.
Like, you can't. Oh, by the way, you're still going to make the widgets, but now we're going to take the machine away from you. The widget machine, we're going to take it away from you. So now you're going to make the widgets by hand, and you have to make the same quota that you made before when you had the bigger workforce.
That's exactly
it just
right.
doesn't.
Look,
the math doesn't work.
We've canceled 2 academy classes, and we have a record number of police officers that are choosing retirement rather than continue on in their career. This can't keep it up. We don't have enough staffing to do it properly. Look, it's not a complicated problem. It's there. The answers are there. They refuse to look at the answers.
The retirements are up 55%. The folks that actually apply for retirement is up 200%. 200% of from last year, from March to September of 19 versus March to December of 2020. A 200% increase of people that walked in and said, run my numbers. And a 55% of people said, you don't need to run my numbers. I'm leaving. I'm done. And not just cops, sergeants.
That's
the
right.
first line of supervision. They're huge. The sergeants are huge.
That's right. Before I came here, we were back at the office in the city, and we had 3, a sergeant, 2 police officers. They stopped by the PBA because they put in their papers they're leaving, and they would have stayed. But the atmosphere is so bad that they can't do it.
And that's what we were talking about the other day. We're losing old heads. We're losing guys that, we're losing guidance. We're losing experienced, trained cops.
Brain drain.
Yeah, and I mean, God help us if it rests on my generation.
I'm not getting sexual, but I'm being told that's got to go a little close. All right.
I mean, it's
But you're losing. But here's the thing, though: you're not just losing. You're not losing members. You're losing. More importantly, you're losing experience.
Yep.
That's right.
You're
Yes.
losing the guys with 20 and 25 on.
Right.
And from a union perspective, I remember back in the day when something had to be said. It wasn't like the trustees or the welfare officers coming in. It was the union delegate saying, "Hey, come here, go talk to that guy. Hey, we got to talk to him."
Look.
All right, so we talked to him. We set that straight. Those days are gone.
Well, you had senior police officers teaching the younger police officers. You learn it in the book, you learn it in the academy, and that's all important. But then you learn how to finesse a job, how to talk to people. You learn that from a senior police officer. Now they're all leaving.
Yep.
So who's going to teach the newer police officers? Look, the new police officers are talented. They're smart. They don't get enough credit for the atmosphere they're working in. But you still need a little gray hair to teach you the right way to do it.
You need a little grit.
Right.
You need
Well,
to be able to take back, quote unquote, take back the streets, but not in a violent manner. But just you're the authority. You're the authority.
But
When
that's the silver linings. But these new guys, and again, I hate to keep beating up my generation, and my guys are gonna hate me, but it is what it is. My generation killed the job. The guys between like that 10 to 15 year range. Guys, his time on, well, your time on. You're 100 years old, so
I'm younger than him.
But guys,
He's pointing.
years. I'll politely say years ago, guys were coming on. They were getting this job right out of high school. They were getting this job with $15,000-$20,000 a year. The pay sucked, the benefits sucked. Everything. They were getting made fun of by these, the Wall Street jobs. And they're looking at you like, "Wow, you work around the clock. You're working holidays. You're a bunch of suckers." And nobody wanted that job. The only reason you took that job was for the fraternity and for a belief in police work. And then the pay and the benefits took off. And then enter my generation, where you had a lot of guys that are looking out at the fragile private sector jobs, and they're looking at the police job, and they're like, well, you know what? I'm in relatively good shape. I got, no criminal record. I can go take this job and have a guaranteed pension with great benefits, but they have no interest in law enforcement. They have no interest in being a cop. They have no interest in, more importantly, the fraternity. And that's where I think, like, from a union standpoint, we got 3 major things that we're facing a big crisis, and that's one of the biggest ones. Is now we're coming into a time where you're going to be looking to a generation of self-preservationists that really don't understand the fraternity. They don't care about the fraternity because they came on, they came on for just themselves. They're not interested in being a cop.
I don't agree completely, but what has to be taught and passed along, and that goes to the senior cops teaching the younger cops, and that's where we're going to have the problem is, look, I'm going to sound Buffy here. You're joining a noble profession. Every day, everything you do, you are making a difference. You can make more money in a different job. You can go to a job that's safe. But at the end of the day, can you say you made a difference? Every day a cop comes to work, you make a difference. The smallest job, the one kid you see on the corner, and you stop and talk to them, and you interact with them, they're going to look at you with all your battle regalia, and you might change a kid's mind to say, you know what, I want to be like them. And they'll come on the job. And that's why I think it's important. We can't get too jaded. I have a long time, but I never really became jaded because I think we're doing good work. I think our elected leaders aren't admitting that we do noble work, we do good work, we do right work. We're more compassionate than other people that are there. And we make a difference every single day. You just do. Yeah. By you parking your radio car in the corner and sitting there, you might be saving someone's life.
You're right.
And
physical presence.
That's what we have to really focus on. It's like, I know there's discussions around everyone's kitchen table because they're demonizing police, and some people will discuss, but why are the police doing that? And they seem so violent, and they tell the stories, and you say to them, well, you're talking about me. Do you think I'm like that? Oh, no, you're not like that.
Right.
You're not like that.
Yeah, all cops are bastards, but not
right.
you. Not you.
But not you. Yeah. But there's a whole bunch of yous.
That's it.
Right?
Earlier,
So,
that's 95% of the cops.
You know what? I have the opportunity to travel around the city, and we go to different community groups and kind of tell the story to the police officers. And what I find all the time is you'll go to one neighborhood, you'll speak to those police officers, the citizens. Oh, what's happening in the police department's terrible. But you know what? Not my cops in the 9-0. They're terrific. Then you go to the next community. Then you go out to the 115 in Jackson Heights. They'll say, oh, it's terrible what's going on. But not my cops. It's terrific. Now, if you take all those neighborhoods and you realize that everyone's saying the same thing, not my cops. You talked about all the cops.
Yep.
We're doing the job. We're doing it right. We talked about the body cams. You know what they're seeing in live video? That we're doing the job, we're doing it right, and we're doing it compassionately.
So what's the future of this? I mean, de Blasio's got 16 months left.
Yeah.
The names that are in the ring right now, and we're not going to talk about political endorsements, but the names that have been mentioned have been obviously Eric Adams and Bill Pepitone, retired NYPD guys, Castamedas, Scott Stringer, Jamani Williams. What is and besides the obvious, like my 12-year-old son could turn around and say homeless, crime, and economy. Anyone could say that. Yeah. Is there a singular one thing that someone what do they have to say to get us to be on board with them? Like, what's the?
Well, they'd have to say
platform?
First off, they have to respect police officers. That's number one. Then they have to come out with any other. Look, when I ran back in '99, I had to lay out a plan. You can't say what they did wrong. You say what they did wrong, but then you had to say, here's what I'm going to do. Here's my plan. Give me an opportunity to do that plan. We haven't heard any plans from anyone that says, here's what I'm going to do to bring crime under control, bring homelessness under control, to help those with mental illness. Well, let's solve some of those problems. What's your plan? Rather than just saying, well, we need to defund the police. Well, what does that mean?
Well, the answer right now to mental illness is they rent the Hilton Hotel and they just put them into
That's right. But are they giving them the services?
None.
Look,
They're giving nothing.
Look, I'm one of these guys that think like mental illness. I think we have a moral obligation to take care of those folks. And it's going to take some money to do it. I think you should take care of them. You should give them treatment, sometimes medication, follow-up, and someplace to live.
Well, the follow-up
you'll
is
find
big.
out. That's right. And then you'll find out that they're productive citizens. They have an issue. Let's help them. Let's fix it. Then if you do that, you're solving a mental illness issue. That'll help us solve the homeless issue. That'll help us solve the crime issue. Well, when are you going to hear some of these elected officials start talking about their plan to do it? It's not that complicated. We know what the problems are. Now let's try something to fix it.
But I think it is complicated because someone that has mental illness, there's two ways. There's therapy and there's drugs.
That's right.
So if you're not the person that actually can get up every morning and actually take that pill every day, or you need someone to monitor them.
Follow up on it.
It's hard.
So
The problem is when you speak about follow up is I see you once a week.
right.
So what was your week like this week, Joe? Well, I missed my meds on Tuesday and Thursday, and then I went out and I raped the 12-year-old. It's more than just it might be everyday maintenance. I don't really know,
Well, look,
but it is the mental health issue is tremendous.
What's the first thing you do? You go on an emotionally disturbed person job. What's the first thing you do as a police officer? You say, okay, did you take your medicine today? 90% of the time, oh no. Well, let's do that and then we'll get you to the hospital. So if you have a system, remember what's happening now is these other systems are failing at their job. They're dumping it on the shoulder of the police officers standing the footpost on the corner, and then we're taking the blame for their failures. They're saying now we should take some of these responsibilities away from police officers. They're forgetting why it was put on our shoulders in the first place, because you failed at doing it.
School policing.
That's right.
They took the school police away.
right.
They gave it to us because they couldn't do it, and now they want to take it back.
And you know what they're forgetting? And we talked to the guys, Greg Floyd in 237. They're forgetting that the system, when it was run by the principals, is they were hiding the crimes. They weren't telling us. So we went in there, we professionalized it, we trained those security officers. They went out there, they did the job properly. Now we're saying take those police officers out of the schools.
Oh, it's dangerous to have
right.
cops in schools.
No, because
Now, if you're going to fix the old system and give it back to them, so be it. That's right. But again, they're taking their failures. They're assigning it to us because we'll compassionately do it, we'll efficiently do it, and we'll try to get the job done in the NYPD. Everyone else's failures, their answer always is, let's give it to the cops. And then when something goes wrong, then they're blaming the cops. They're hiding from the fact they didn't do it. Every one of those jobs, someone else failed at, and you gave it to the cops to do because you know we'll try our best to do it. If you want to take those responsibilities away, I'm for it. Did you fix the original problem? Look, I'd love to just focus.
I said the same thing. I said
Tommy's a big advocate of that.
I said take it away.
That's right.
That's one less responsibility we have.
Let us focus on our core
In
mission.
3 years, you're going to beg us to come
right.
back and do it again, start from scratch.
That person's on the corner, whether they're homeless, they're mentally ill, they're not in school because someone else failed and we have to deal with it. Fix that, then we'll have a discussion. What mayoral candidate is going to give us a real plan, not just talking points?
Well, it's early right now. Obviously, we have a bit of a time, but that should be what they've been doing now. We had Bill Pepitone on a couple of weeks ago, who's a retired NYPD, and he was actually called out on the carpet by Dave Giannese.
Yeah.
And Bill actually called back in and said, "This is exactly what," and he laid out a plan of, I'm going to hire this one. I need the best person for this. And he laid, much like Trump does. Look, they don't have the answer to everything. You just have to surround yourself with people that do have the answer
That's
for
right.
that.
That's right.
You tackle the 6 or 8 things that are important. You hire the best person for that job, and you implement it. That's what Bill said. Hopefully, you can do it.
Look at when Ed Koch was the mayor. He used to pride himself in saying, "Look how smart I am for putting the right people in the right spot."
Yep.
And of course,
No.
the mayor gets the credit. He gets the credit for putting the
Perfect.
right people to solve the job.
Perfect. Any business. That's any business, though. I don't care what business you have. When you hire people to delegate the authority to, you hire the best person to do that.
That's right. And what did Mayor Koch do? He showed respect to police officers. He visited every cop that was injured, every cop that was shot, and each mayor that came after him, he had that. Because I had conversations with him. He said, each mayor, I told him, never, ever miss a cop in the hospital. Never, God forbid, never, ever miss one of their funerals.
Do you know Jerry Kane? Jerry Kane's a retired sergeant.
Sure do.
Good dude. Real good dude. We had him on. He actually told a story about Koch when Anthony Dwyer was killed.
Yeah.
And
He was close.
He told us the whole story, whatever. And he said, it was 4 a.m. or whatnot, and around 5:30, 6 o'clock, we all met at the hospital, and we sent the guy out to get coffee. And they had a bunch of coffee cups, and they had a table over here with coffee, and they had a table over here with coffee. And Koch came in and said, can I have a cup of coffee? And he grabbed it, and he grabbed one of our coffees. And he said, he's really funny story the way he tells it. He said, Koch opened it up, and he took a sip, and he looked at them, and he goes, "Wow, that's some really good." And the chief of the department was there, chief of patrol, though, and he goes, "Wow, this is some really good coffee." And then he walked up. And Koch knew it was like an inside joke, because Koch loved the cops. I mean, he really did.
Oh, he showed respect.
Amazing. I mean, Giuliani came around eventually, but I don't think he's ever been a mayor in this New York City that loved the cops like Koch did.
That's right.
He really did. We need another one like him.
And you mentioned that, and you mentioned the Dwyers, and sometimes we forget where we as cops come from. We're allowed to do our job because there's a family at home willing to let us do it. Sometimes we make a choice, we follow our passion at the law enforcement. Sometimes the family, not so much. But they allow us to do it. The Dwyer's a perfect example. They lost their son. Tragic. You know what? To this day, they started with the Hansons and other families started the Deceased Officers Parents Association. And they still, to this day, will help police officers. We've gone to their victim impact statement with them where the family tells their stories. It brings a tear to the eye, literally. They're at every wake, every funeral. They're there. Ed and Marge, they're terrific people. But they're like all our widows, all our parents, all our family members.
Ted Buzak goes
terrific,
to
until the day he
God rest
died.
his soul. Yeah,
No.
but his sister still would go to the ceremony up in
the 3-4.
Yep,
Absolutely.
just a great family. They get it. They could have just
That's
said,
right.
you know what, that chapter of my life is over. I'm just gonna. But
That's
no,
right.
man, Ted Buzak showed up to those, and
I'll never forgot. And you know what? What did they do? They took some bad tragedies. They created good out of it. The Busiks, the little league up in
Johnny
Washington
Moynihan.
Heights.
Yeah, Johnny Moynihan ran that league.
absolutely.
I worked for Johnny for years.
There you go.
Good guy.
Still to this day has the passion for it. So when people, they'll say, "Oh, those families are so terrific," and they're right, they are. But they gave birth and reared the cops that are on the street.
Yep.
We came from someplace, and it's all we're no different than anybody else.
I'll tell you, that little league, Johnny Moynihan was my boss in the 4-6, and when he
Man.
went to Warrants, he brought me over with him. They started that from scratch in
That's
honor
right.
of Mike Buzak.
That's right.
And that's still going strong today.
And
for years I went there. I barbecued for
That's
a
right.
community. I didn't know any of these. My days off, my RDOs, went up there, we barbecued, and he's got such passion for what that is because of what it stands for.
right.
There's a couple of kids went to MLB. A couple of kids actually on the job now.
You'll see them on the job. That's absolutely right.
It's a incredible community thing, and that's humanizing cops.
And that's what we need to do. Look, it can't just be the union's job to tell the story and put a face on police officers. It has to be all of us. It has to be all of our families. It has to be all of our neighbors. We cannot shy away because we're going through a difficult time. And we can't shy away from those arguments or telling those stories. The protesters, they're out there marching. The rioters are throwing bricks, and they're loud. Well, we have to be louder. I always say I will never, ever apologize for being a New York City police officer. And as a union delegate, we will never apologize for being a defender of the defender. We all have to take that on. It's uncomfortable. But you have to say, you know what, pal? You got this one wrong. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you a story. It's each of our jobs to tell the story of the police officer that went before you. You see that dude that just came in the restaurant? His wife is a New York City police officer. Let me tell you what happened to her. We have to tell that story always. Never apologize for who we are. We can't shy away. Look, there was a time when you wouldn't wear a T-shirt with the shield on your chest, and it's coming to a time when people are shying away from doing
that's
that. And
Taking stickers off their cars.
that's right.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I don't blame them. But we have to get back to the place where people know it's a noble profession.
Yep.
We have to tell the stories. Let me tell you the story of the kid that we helped.
And it's so hard for these families, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's what this generation of cop is going through now.
That's
Is
right.
We are in that place where, family members, it's not even a matter of being ashamed. They're scared.
That's right.
Because, they don't want, like you're saying, take stickers of a car, shields of a car. They don't want to wear anything. And for the kids, it's even worse. I got a 17-year-old, and they'll tell you, you see it in the schools with the thin blue line.
That's right.
That's going on, where the principals and the teachers, they'll make up this. There's some kind of racial connotation to the thin blue. There's nothing. There's no racial connotation to it.
No.
There's nothing bad about it. But these kids,
Kids are getting suspended in school for
they're-
carrying a blue line flag
they're-
at the football game.
they're being fed that, and especially again because I talked to my 17-year-old about it, and they know she wants to say something, but in a generation of kids where their whole life is social media, if she doesn't, at minimum, just turn a blind eye to all the nonsense that's going on and all the stuff that's being talked about cops, the negative stuff that's being talked about cops, if she speaks out, they'll destroy her matter of minutes,
That's
clicks, and just destroy her.
Because there's, I had the opportunity. September 11th anniversary just passed. You guys in the last show talked about it, right? So September 11th, I tried to go to those commands that lost members. I was at Western Liberty when the buildings came down. This September 11th, I had a fear that people are going to forget, with all the anti-police talk, they're going to forget the days on 12th Avenue when you rushed there, you'd come out exhausted, they'd be cheering on 12th Avenue. They appreciated cops because they saw what we were doing. Firefighters too, the iron workers. There's a whole lot of folks that did it. It wasn't just us.
Cheering you on.
That's right, cheering you on. And this year I had that cold feeling. We we went and we spoke at these things, and I said, look, we can't apologize for who we are, and we can't let them cancel us. And I hate to use their word, but they're trying to cancel us. And if
They
you
really
notice
are.
this September
They
11th,
really are.
right, when the world would stop for September 11th, and you bow your head for those 3,000 citizens that lost, you'd bow your head for the 23 police officers, that New York City police officers, the 37 Port Authority, 343 firefighters, all those.
55 military.
That's right, the military, all those that have died from illness since then, those that are struggling to breathe on their couch. You know what happened that day? I went home and watched the news, and you had politicians having press conferences on other issues, and I realized they are trying to cancel us. I was fearful that it's happening. Even the shows, on leading up to September 11th, and on September 11th, they have all those shows, the 102 Minutes and The World Changed, and I started flipping around. I couldn't find the shows.
National
They weren't on there.
Geographic.
That's right.
That's
They're
the only one
starting
I
to go
found.
away. They're trying to make us forget.
LeBron-
And we can't let September 11th turn into that, like when Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th, where, oh, shoot, is today Pearl Harbor Day? We can't allow them to make this yesterday's history, yesterday's news. You know what? Because what happened that day could happen again. There's people that it's still September 12th, 2001 for cops that are sitting on a couch just trying to breathe now. So that's what I say. We can't apologize. We have to tell our story. We have to keep telling our story. Even if we take a black eye for it. Even if people are trying to demonize you. 'Cause you know what? Regular people that are waiting for the bus, trying to get on the subway, still appreciate what we are. But they're too busy trying to go to work and live their life. We have to remind them that we're still here. We cannot allow them to try to put us in a box and make us ashamed to what we're doing. Say it proudly. Our neighbors need to do it. So we need to ask other people to stand up and say, no, we need the cops. And you're starting to see that now.
Yeah.
You're starting to see Back the Blue rallies. I was up in Eastchester last week at one. There's a couple this weekend coming on. We got to remember them. That's how we tell our story. Keep doing it. We'll make some progress. I'm not telling you it's going to be easy. I'm not going to tell you you're not going to get in any arguments, but it can't just be the unions doing it. It has to be everyone that has a shield in a pocket and all those that support us. Tell the story.
And it's so critical now because again, especially using 9/11 as a reference. I mean, these kids in high school. I mean, these kids weren't alive or they were toddlers for 9/11, so they're really literally being taught 9/11 as something of the past, something that they weren't even alive for. And again, in school, it's just really not part of the curriculum, and it's embarrassing.
And it needs to be.
It's embarrassing.
Well, there's Back the Blue in Malvern this weekend.
That's right.
Another one. That's a
Steve
big deal.
McDonald's neighborhood.
Yeah, so that's a big deal for people to come out. But you hit it on the head though, because like Congresswoman Omar Alan, some bad people did something on this date. LeBron James this year
That
year
tweet
tweeted
was
out
ridiculous.
that he did the poop emoji. What did he write? He wrote same poop emoji, different day, feels the same. Like
Wow.
this day means nothing to me.
Yeah.
That's what LeBron James is saying. This day means nothing to me. The guy that took a knee with a stack of towels so he didn't hurt his kneecap when he sat down. And then you
I
see
need my curse jar, Tommy.
and then you
I
see
need my curse
then you
jar.
see the cops in L.A. the sheriffs who she got shot twice in the jaw, twice in the chest. Right?
Oh,
she
in
took
LA
4
County.
rounds. She crawled out. Now she put it over the air with half a jaw. Grabbed a partner, was able to get him to safety.
Was rendering aid to the
yeah.
partner.
Really? And this guy says and he has no respect for law enforcement. He took a knee and had to put towels down.
But you know what? They can take a knee because there's a cop someplace protecting his right to take that knee. We don't have to agree with it.
No,
but you know what? We'll
definitely.
protect your right to do
Absolutely.
the most.
But that opinion, though,
The-
that's the same shit happened on this day. I don't feel any different.
I'm
It's
skipping-
basically the
I'm-
message
I'm-
he was
And
giving.
also, Black Lives Matter being taught in schools.
Hold on. Slow your roll.
well,
do you
you got something for that too.
Dude, I got something for everything.
No, well, the most flagrant example for me, I mean, in recent history was in 16 with the Dallas cops. I mean, and that's what I always tell people. I said, those 5 cops were assassinated protecting a march against them. I mean, that's that.
And the
How did-
and the
how did-
NFL said you couldn't wear the number 5 in a little
No,
sticker.
no. They had the sticker of the
Oh, there was a 5.
shit, no, it was hand in hand. It was a star, arm in arm. I'm sorry, arm in arm. The Dallas Cowboys wanted to wear, and they. I think it was the first practice game or the first practice after that. They all walked out. That was the symbolic arm in arm thing. It was the Dallas chief, a couple of cops. They all walked out with the Dallas Cowboys, and the NFL wouldn't let them wear that sticker on the back of their helmet. They said it was too political. But now they got the names of
Yes.
rapists and
Murderers.
I need my curse jar, Tommy.
No curse jar for you. All right, Pat. I'll leave you with this. So you have 2 sons on the job. Again, very admirable profession. We've all, well, not all of us, but the three of us have done that job. And obviously, before they took that job, you had some sound words, you had advice. I'm sure they discussed this with you then. Currently today, like I have a 14-year-old who says, "Oh, I'd like to be a cop." I don't know how to answer that. I don't know where, I say to her, and she's brilliant. I say, well, if you can come out of the academy and become the police commissioner, I will give you my nod of approval. Would you give the same advice to your kids today if you had a 16 or 17-year-old son or daughter, or maybe 20, that took the test? Would your advice today be the same that you gave your sons, X amount of years ago?
I would. I would tell them, like I said earlier, it's a noble profession. Every day you make a difference in people's lives, and someone has to do that job. Look, in this job, you may get hurt, you may get jammed up. That all may happen. I don't think we give enough credit to the new generation of police officers. They're smarter than we give them credit to.
I think you're
They're
right.
out there doing a difficult job. You can have time on the job a little bit, and you can get a little jaded and say, they're not as good as us. You should have been here yesterday. The job is, an S word as compared to what it was. But it's their job, and we need them. We need good, working, honest people. We talked about good and evil. We need good, middle class, working class people that are willing to take this job, willing to do it, willing to fight back. Look, you go back to the cops in the 70s when I was growing up, they were doing everything with nothing. And they were great cops. There wasn't enough of them. Crime was out of control. But you know what? Every day they slid behind the wheel of the radio car and they pushed through our neighborhoods and they did it and they brought the city back into the 80s, into the 90s. We can do that again. If we discourage our family members from coming into this noble profession, and it's a profession, it's not a job, it's a profession, then who's going to do it from there? We have to help them. We have to teach them. Just because you're not active, you may be retired, guide them, help them. The union will be there for them too. We all have to do our part, but we have to keep telling their stories. I would definitely say come on the job. It's harder. I'm not going to tell you it's easy, but nothing worthwhile.
But they also
is
don't
easy.
know what it was 10 years ago.
They don't. That's right.
So it might be, you say it's a harder job, but
That's right.
when you compare, I feel bad for the guys with like 15 and 18 years on that worked a certain way 10 or 12 years ago, and then the last, X, 5 or 6
Trying
or
to
whatever, and
adapt
they're
to
trying
this.
to, like,
Yeah.
I have this conversation with guys I used to work with. There's a couple still on the job, and they'll say, you just couldn't work. You wouldn't be able to do work the way we did it. And not that we were kicking down doors and stepping on necks or anything, but it's just a different animal. And it would be very hard to transition from the way we did things. Like, you literally just took me out of retirement, said, you haven't been a cop 15 years. Here you go. You're back in the 4-6. I wouldn't be able to do it because the things have changed,
The job has changed, and the job has always changed, and it's hard and it's difficult, and you have to tell them to be smart, like we tell our members. If they're making these rules, then go by those rules. We know they're not going to work, but you have to protect yourself. You have to look out for each other, and you have to look. When you're going to a job now, you can't roll to that job with just one car with 2 cops. If you need 3 cars, you need 4 cars, then back each other. We want to hear you on the radio saying, Adam on the back, Charlie on the back. We need to do that and back each other. If it's going to take more sectors to do the job safely for us and the other people, then that's what we're going to have to do. It's their rules. They want those rules. They're telling us don't be proactive, then don't be proactive. That's a shame. Do we want to be proactive?
Of course.
Absolutely. That's what policing is.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
we do.
Yep.
But they're telling us not to. That's fine. I'm not saying come in and just collect a paycheck. I'm saying come in and do the job, do it by their rules. Because you know what's happening?
Do it safely.
The people in the neighborhood need us. And those neighborhoods are us. People forget 60% of our members live in the confines of New York City. We are the neighborhood. We're in the pew next to you at religious services. We're waiting on the corner for our children to get back to school if they ever get back in the classroom. But we're there picking up. That we are the neighborhood. We can't forget that. Now, I am not going to tell you it's going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. Is it dangerous? Yes, it's dangerous. But we need someone to do the job.
Yeah,
and
someone's
who
gotta.
else is but the legacy police officers that are following the footsteps of their mothers, their fathers, their uncles, and their aunts.
Well, the other problem is that they're starting to lessen the requirements. So you were arrested for this, but then years ago
know what?
it was if you were college,
and
you
look,
were out.
And this is where the politicians come in. They're always saying the same thing. Going back to Giuliani, there was what's called the Zuccotti report. And they said, look, we want to look at the police officer. We want a better police officer. So they said a couple of things. They said, we need to raise the age of the police officer. We get a more mature police officer. So they did that. Then the second thing they said is we need a better educated police officer. So they required college education. So they did that. The third thing they said is we need to pay police officers so we get professional police officers. You know what they didn't do? They're not paying us like professionals. They pick and choose what they're going to do. Let's follow through on your own reports. Age, we got you. More mature cop. Education, smarter, better, more rounded. Okay, we got you. We got the education. When are you going to pay us? Now they're talking about putting a residency requirement for new cops in to come onto the job.
5 boroughs.
Yeah, in the 5 boroughs. You have to live in the 5 boroughs to come on the job. Now let me ask you something.
Can't afford it.
You can't
that's
afford
part
to
of
live
it,
in the
yeah.
city. So now,
Yeah.
who are you going to affect? You're affecting the people you're saying you want on the job. City residents that reflect the neighborhoods.
Yep.
So how is it a young person's going to come on the job, be able to buy a home on that salary?
Can't.
We have to demand our elected officials do their job. We have to register to vote. We have to make sure we vote. We can't just talk about it. We can't just say we're busy. We have to get up. We have to walk up to the public school, and we have to vote. And then we have to demand that they listen to us because we are the community. Never forget that we're in the neighborhoods too. Our votes count. Our voices count, and we have to do it. We can't talk about it. We have to do it. And this time around, we need to do it. We need, as I said at the RNC, we need a powerful voice in the most powerful office. We need to make sure we vote and we keep the president in his spot because we need his support because many others don't have the courage
Well,
to
that's
do
a big
it.
false narrative. A lot of people, because of the way it's reported, think that most New York City police officers don't live within the 5 boroughs, and that's just not true.
It's absolutely
It's just not true.
It's absolutely
You've
not
got
true.
20% or 30% that live outside. Yeah, like I said, you can't afford to live here. I just want. Listen, I like Nassau County. I like Suffolk. I like Putnam. I like Orange. Whatever
right.
it is. But most of us live here.
Most of us live here, and those that are coming in from out east and up north, they're as dedicated as the person that lives up the block from you. They're doing the job. It's a noble profession, and they should do it. And they should be allowed to live a life they choose. They need to be paid professionals, treated professionally. We need our city hall, city council, the assembly, and the senate. They got to stop talking the same. We need leaders. What always I find odd is that these people are saying they're leaders, but they're in the middle of the pack. You can't be a leader in the middle of the crowd.
Nope.
Get in the front and say
Take
what's
charge.
true. And you know what?
And own it.
Someone's going to say, I don't agree with everything that they say, but I wish we had an advocate like them that are up there. At least they say it. That's what we have in the president. They speak English. He speaks Queens. He just says it. And you know what? People say, well, I don't agree with everything, but at least you know what he's saying. That's what our electeds aren't doing.
You realize that too, right?
Yeah.
You realize
this-
that too.
Look, I have a lot of help to get the job that I do.
You realize that too.
But
That's
it's a Queens thing. I'm not saying anything
Yeah.
brilliant. I'm just saying
That-
common sense.
It is common sense.
One,
It's
la-
common
one
sense.
last question.
Sure. So I don't get the last question then? Go ahead,
Yeah, I
Chris.
do.
You go ahead, Chris.
Do you think? I mean, no offense to the people of New York. Do you think the people of New York City will re-elect de Blasio again?
No, because he's term limited. He's out. Thank God.
Oh, my
He's limited.
Lord.
So we have
Oh,
to
my God. Who wrote
that's
that
a-
question?
you know.
Oh, Jesus
Problem
Christ.
solved.
So you know what we have to look at? We have to demand the next people speak straight, speak common sense, come up with a plan,
Follow
and
through.
then
Follow
you don't
through.
give someone your vote; they earn your vote. Make
Exactly.
them earn your vote, and the
Yep.
ones that aren't earned their vote, we got to get together and throw them out.
And the second,
Like
to,
AOC.
second to last word.
Second to
because
last
I'm
question.
not. I'll give you the last word.
I'm good, man. You got,
Okay,
what do you got? Yeah.
I just wanted to thank you personally.
That's not a question.
Honestly,
Hey, don't interrupt the man. All right, go ahead.
that is true. That is true. Honestly, not for everything you do for the profession, for everything you do for our charity, for coming in tonight. But specifically, I was at not this year's anniversary, last year's anniversary, and one of the women that was there was Judith McNeil.
Yeah.
She sister of Walter
Port
McNeil.
Authority.
That was her first anniversary that she had done anything outside of just going to the services and going home. So we gave her the option. You know, do you want to come around with us to the NYPD commands and the firehouses? And she said, yeah. And we brought her around, but you could see she was hanging back against the walls and just kind of taking it in because it was something different, and she was trying to will herself, you know, to do something other than mourning. So when we were at the 6th, everybody's doing the usual politicking thing. Everybody's coming around, you know, and posing for pictures and all that. And she was sitting back, and I don't know what triggered it in you. I mean, I do know what triggered it in you. I mean, it's just who you are. But you picked up on the fact that she was just sitting there, and not for the cameras, and not for the people, and not for anything. You grabbed a chair, turned the chair away from. You had your back to where everybody was sitting and talking, and you engaged that woman in a conversation. And as somebody that's friends with her, I can't tell you. I know what it meant to her because she talked about it for weeks after, what that meant to her. But I want you to know what that meant to me and to the guys that were there. I mean, that wasn't even, Walter wasn't even one of your cops. And for you to pick up on stuff like that. This is why I say, I mean, I hope you understand the reach that you have and the voice that you have. It expands well beyond New York City. You know, you have and I know some of our guys have come up to you and they said, you know, you're not just speaking for New York City cops. You're speaking for cops around the country. There's nobody.
It's the
like
profession.
You know what?
It's the community. Like I said, the community needs a voice, and you're the voice. Fortunate or unfortunate, it's on your shoulders right now. And there's not a whole lot of guys out there. You know, Sheriff Clark is a voice. Ed Mullins is a voice. They look to you, though. I mean, you're the polished politician, and honestly, no holds barred. Like, it is what it is. I'm not blowing smoke. You don't blow smoke up men's asses. Like, this is what needs to get done. And I call it like I say it.
When I
Like,
say stuff, because I tell that story to a lot of people, and you know, again, using his phrase, I don't blow smoke up. I don't benefit. I'm not one of your members. I don't benefit from. I could say anything good or bad about you doesn't make a difference.
But you know what? The patch on the shoulder might have been different. The mission was exactly the same. And the reality is, people wonder why we show up in mass when our phones go off and a cop is shot. September 11th happened, and we lose those police officers. People always wonder, why did cops show up in such groups at the hospital? Why do they stand shoulder to shoulder by the tens of thousands at a funeral like Ramos and Lou and every funeral since and before? And the reason is simple. You do it for the cop that's standing next to you. And you always remember this. You're there for that police officer that gave their lives, but if the roles were reversed, they'd be there for you. And what I would hope is that if it was my family, that someone would take the time to show that hero family the respect, because you know what? They are better than us
100%.
Because they live it every day. So I'm not doing anything different than any of you guys would do exactly the same. The only difference is I have a platform to get to say what everybody's thinking. That's the only difference.
Perfect. All right, Jacob. What do we got? Like a 4 minute?
10 minute.
10 minute. Again, I'll repeat, Josh. It was sentiments and thank you so much. We're so grateful for you to come in and share.
Thank you for being
share
here,
the
Pat.
talk with
Thank you,
us.
brother.
And you know, we do have a nice reach. And you know, when you go on Fox for 8 minutes or 10 minutes, and so, you know, you're all over the planet, and they give you 10 and 12 and 14 minutes or whatnot. We're grateful that you spent an hour and a half here with us to really get that reach out there, because it is important. It is important. It's not just like it's not by the New York or the New Jersey guys or the Pennsylvania. It's a cop in Tuscaloosa, Arizona that's listening right now, going, "Wow, you know what? That's exactly why I took this job, and that's exactly why I go to that funeral, and that's exactly what we need here, and that will boost those guys and those men and women in the smaller municipalities to say, yeah, you know what? I want that. I need that. It is a brotherhood. It is a sisterhood. We need to hold the people above us accountable." The small little town council with 3 members that run your police department is just as important as the ones here with 30
right.
members that run your police department. So it is the message was definitely sent, and it's very much appreciated. And thank you so much. Hopefully you come back again.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity. I'll come back anytime.
Awesome.
I appreciate the opportunity just to keep on talking.
Awesome, man.
Awesome.
Jacob,
Thanks,
take us
Pat.
out. Or not.
If you are searching for a doctor that truly cares about your overall health and well-being, contact Dr. Alex at Tri-State Health and Wellness. For more than 11 years, Dr. Alex has been treating law enforcement professionals and their families while focusing on one-on-one care so you never feel rushed. All necessary testing can be conducted during your visit, and they feature flexible hours and appointments to accommodate alternating work schedules. Tri-State Health and Wellness is conveniently located in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Contact Dr. Alex today by visiting www.bluetristate.com. Mortgages for everyday heroes. From Michelle Hendershot and Homebridge Financial Services. If you're looking to purchase a home or refinance an existing mortgage, Michelle Hendershot can assist you every step of the way. With over 10 years of experience assisting law enforcement officers with their dream of owning a home, the choice is simple. Contact Michelle Hendershot today. Visit www.mortgagesforblue.com. Are you tired of sleeping alone each night? Feeling sluggish during the day? Is your snoring keeping your spouse awake at night? If you find yourself spending too much time on the couch, maybe it's time to visit Dr. Michael Doblin of At Home Sleep Solutions. Dr. Doblin is the preferred sleep apnea doctor of New Jersey's law enforcement officers. With the help of a custom-fitted oral device, you can finally say goodbye to noisy, antiquated sleep apnea machines. For more information and to schedule an appointment today, contact Dr. Michael Doblin. Visit www.bluesnore.com. Moment of Silence, Inc., along with Blue Suicide, is a nonprofit organization founded to support and raise awareness about the epidemic of suicides amongst law enforcement, military personnel, and first responders. For more information on how you can help, visit momentofsilenceinc.org. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or a certified used vehicle, then visit Fetty Auto Group, located at the junction of Route 46 and Route 3 in Clifton, New Jersey. Fetty Auto Group stands shoulder to shoulder with the men and women in blue. Stop by and ask for Troy Mall and ask about the offers for first responders. For more information, visit FettyAuto.com. That's FETTEAUTO.com. The Blue Magazine, the law enforcement publication by law enforcement professionals for the men and women of law enforcement. The unfiltered voice of law enforcement. TheBlueMagazine.com. Are you patrolling with the pig? If not, you're doing it wrong. Check out all the newest swine swag at ProudPig.blue. They are dirty by design. Check it out now. Visit www.proudpig.blue for all your swine swag. Visit www.proudpig.blue. Resumes by Joe. Owned and operated by retired NYPD second grade detective Joe Federa. With over 20 years of professional resume writing experience and focusing on translating what we do as cops into language that the corporate world can appreciate. We put an emphasis on ensuring that your cover letter and resume will be best received by the applicant tracking system used by most companies today. Check out our website at www.resumesbyjoe.com or call Joe directly at 347-992-4523. Don't forget to ask about the 50% discount for BBO members and most unions across the country. Give us the job of helping you get the job. Contact Resumes by Joe today. If you're a member of the law enforcement profession and are looking to establish long-lasting business relationships with businesses that are blue-friendly, it's time to visit visitblue.com. Visitblue.com features some of the best doctors, lawyers, realtors, as well as other service providers, such as home improvement and financial services. If you are looking for reliable, trustworthy service providers, visit visitblue.com. That's www.visitblue.com. Founded in 2014 by retired NYPD police officer Michael Burke, Brothers Before Others is a national 501c3 law enforcement charity comprised solely of both sworn and retired police officers. Since their inception, Brothers Before Others has sent floral arrangements to the services of all line-of-duty deaths, regardless of where in the country they occur, having spent over $350,000 to date. While the National Flower Fund remains their cornerstone, their benevolence has since grown well beyond that, even into the civilian world. For more information on how to get involved or to donate, visit brothersbeforeothers.org, or you can visit their public forums on all social media platforms by searching Brothers Before Others. Founded in 2016 by professional musician Neil Giraldo, 3-Chord Bourbon has developed a process that is defined as the perfectly tuned taste, blending carefully selected whiskey bourbon and rye whiskey stocks from Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana. Designed to be enjoyed with friends and family, 3-Chord Bourbon will leave you with the same feeling you experience after hearing that perfect song. You'll know their whiskeys are right from the very first sip. For more information on 3-Chord Bourbon and available merchandise, visit 3chordbourbon.com. Line of Duty Cigars, owned and operated by retired NYPD Detective Tom Werther. Visit lineofdutycigars.com for our handmade Nicaraguan cigars, custom ashtrays, custom humidors, and custom flask sets. Also, when you place an order, you choose a law enforcement, first responder, or veteran charity, and Line of Duty Cigars donates 10% to that organization. Planning a special event? Contact us today. Visit www.lineofdutycigars.com. And now back to the Blue Room Podcast on the bluebroadcastnetwork.com.
Hey, now we are back. Pat Lynch has agreed to stick around for a little bit because we got a phone call during the break of someone that is near and dear to him, a good friend of mine as well. Are we on the phone with Carmine?
Yes.
Carmine Antonelli. How's it going, brother?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Oh, dude, I'm so
Pat, how are you?
when we started when we figured out what we were doing here tonight, I really wanted to kind of personalize and humanize Pat, because what everyone sees, even the cops on the job, what they see is what they see on the news. If you go to an event, I tell you, I don't think I've ever had a donut or a coffee or a pack of cookies out of the canteen without seeing you. So this isn't an empty suit. This is a guy that actually truly cares about the membership. And I know that you have a kind of a personal, definitely a personal connection with Pat and with the union from your family experiences and stuff. And I'm really appreciated that you agreed to call in and just kind of share your story with us. So that's we're very grateful for that, Con.
Thank you for having me on. It was my pleasure to serve as a New York City cop for 27 years, and 15 of those years as a PBA delegate under Pat Lynch.
A great delegate. That's what you were, Carmine.
Great on that.
27,
Thank
huh?
you, sir. Yeah, 27 years.
What are you doing now?
Sad day to leave.
27 years. What are you doing now? You're like Frank? You Frank out there watering your lawn, or Tony and Eacher just cutting his grass?
Exactly. What's it called? Watering my concrete.
Perfect. It's funny. My father used to say that was the Italian. I'm German, so my father called it the Italian lawn. So the Italian lawn was the concrete, and it's funny because Frank Tornetti's a sergeant on our job who lives across the street from me. He's always out there with his hose, and he's wetting down the concrete. And I give him a hug. I go, dude, what are you doing?
Dad used to do.
That's funny.
That's what you do.
Watering down the concrete. So, Carmine, you have a very unique story. I know of it, and I'll you tell as much or as little as you want of it, of your personal connection with both Pat and the union.
Yeah, well, back in September 9th, 2009, my brother was murdered in a home invasion in Queens. And, it really took us by shock. I was working that night. I was actually in the 110 precinct on patrol, and I got the call from my mother, hysterical, that something had happened to my brother. As I rushed over there, we turned on the radio to the 106 frequency, and I just knew it was going to be bad. So we got there, to the Jamaica Hospital, and first guys I see is Bob Iaboni and Dan Torelli from the PBA. I mean, they've been there since day one, and Pat Lynch, and it really hit us hard. And my brother wasn't a cop; he worked for the city. He worked for the Board of Ed, and Pat Lynch and the PBA, the board and the members were there from day one. Whether it was, at the hospital the night he passed, the funeral, we had what's it called? And one night at a vigil, candlelight vigil, and Pat Lynch was there with his wife, and my brother Angelo turned to me, and he couldn't believe that such a busy man like Pat was there, to support us, and that's just the kind of guy he is. My brother, like I said, he wasn't a cop. He's there. You mentioned before, he was there for the Port Authority Police. He's there for everybody. He's also there. My brother was civilian. Just worked in the Board of Ed, and that night he worked at my father's pizzeria, and he was murdered. And
so your brother's Jerry, right? Your brother Jerry was the one that was the victim.
Yeah.
So your dad owned a pizza shop
in
in Howard Beach, or Ozone Park.
Yeah, on Crosby Boulevard, Ozone Park. Yeah, a few blocks from the home, and they followed him home, and they found an opportunity. My brother had opened the door for my father, let him in. They took the opportunity, and they, went inside and beat my brother up and shot him in the head. And left my father there also. Killed him in front of my father. Yeah.
Hey, Carmine, you know what you're leaving out of the story here? You're saying that folks were at the hospital and at the vigil and at the funeral. But what you're leaving out of the story is, Carmine, you were always there when the union called as a delegate. You were there for your members in the middle of the night. You were there for your members when you needed them. You were there for the organization when we need. There was never a thing, and I'm not just saying this. There was never an issue
I
where
appreciate
you as a delegate, you weren't there always. And you retire and you're still there. So you're being a little humble there, brother. You're not telling your story. Your story is there. You really believe to the core of your heart that a delegate meant something, that being a New York City cop meant something, and you proved it and lived it every day. So, yeah, we were there in your worst of times, but think of all those cops that lost somebody, that you were there for them. And you know what else you showed the world? You know that New York City police officers are human. Yeah, you're cops, you're out there, but sometimes you're also victims. And you show that, look, we're regular people out there in the street. And you've never forgotten your members ever.
Absolutely. No, thank you, Pat, for always being there for myself and my family. Always there for us. Meant a lot, really meant a lot to us. Still does. Never forget that.
I got to tell you, the one thing I always found that with all the union delegates, we had a bunch of, I worked in a 4-6 in Lawrence, that sometimes you can get a guy, sometimes you couldn't, depending on what time of night it was. And, listen, guys sleeping and whatnot. But Josh here, who was also a delegate on his job, I remember having a conversation with him about something really silly. I was like, I'm surprised you answered the phone. And he said to me, as a union delegate, I have an obligation to always answer my phone.
That's right.
Always, it doesn't matter what time of night, answer the phone. If that phone is ringing, that means someone needs help. And for you to give them that help, whether it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 2 o'clock in the morning, is just tremendous.
And
they pay dues for it.
I always look at,
It's not about pay.
Yeah, well, I always look at the delegates, how you're on a job and, you need extra police, so you call ESU.
Yep.
I always looked at the PBA as being, the ESU of the delegates,
Yeah.
And,
That's right.
when we need help, who do we reach out? Our financial secretaries, our trustees, ultimately, our attorneys, and they're always there for us. I mean, I've worked nights, and I've called, like I said, I've called Bobby 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and I feel bad, and he picks up his phone. It's amazing. It's the support that these guys give you. It's really, truly is amazing.
Well, you also know if your phone rings at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's not it's not BS.
Right.
Like it's legit. Like someone,
Yeah, exactly.
another brother or sister truly needs help.
Right.
And they're at the bottom. Like, I don't know what to do.
100%.
I need help. If I say something that might be wrong, like they need someone to guide them, and that's
right.
important.
And you know what gets lost sometimes is when that delegate gets up off their couch and leaves to help a cop. What they're doing is they're leaving their family behind to go help another cop's family.
Yep.
Always remember that. It's a noble, within a noble. Look, I always say there's nothing better than being a New York City police officer except being a delegate and defending the defenders.
Absolutely.
No, that's awesome.
100%. I agree. And my son Nicholas wants to follow my footsteps. I mean, at first I wasn't too happy with it, but the decision. But you know what? Like Pat said, it's a noble profession, and that's what he wants to do. So who am I to stop him? No, my parents weren't happy when I became a cop. They always said, it's dangerous.
And
but in the end, they realized that's what I wanted to do.
You know, well, Carmen, that generation is going to actually save this job, because we were talking about it before, and you used the exact words about being a noble profession that Pat had used. But the generation that's coming on the job now, guys and girls that want to be police officers now, they really have to want it. I mean, you're literally asking for a job that, again, using Pat's words, that's being demonized right now. You really have to believe in what we are and what we do and the job that we do. I'm telling you, these kids, they're going to save this job. They're going to save it because, again, they're believers. They're coming on, again, same as the generations of past that were coming on when the benefits were crap and the pay was crap and the only thing that existed was the fraternity. Well, that's kind of the same thing. It's come full circle because now these kids are coming on to a job where the really only thing that exists is the fraternity.
Well, they know they're jumping into the fire, and they're saying, "You know what? I can handle it.
Yeah,
that's right.
I can handle it."
Yeah.
It's not like I said. When my generation was guys.
Dangers are there every day.
Yeah, but our generation, Carmine, was like my dad would work for sanitation, and his thing was, "Hey, take all the city tests, get the pension, get the benefits." As a kid, I always wanted to be a cop. I didn't take. I was about 2 years on the job when I got like a 99.5 on the FDNY test, on the written test, and I had the physical on like a Saturday morning, and did a 4 to 12, and I had the physical the next day for the FDNY, and we went out afterwards, and the guy's like, "Oh, you got the physical in the morning?" I was like, "You know what? It doesn't really matter. I wouldn't want to leave this job anyway. I took that test because my dad said, you should take all those tests because it was the thing to do. As a blue collar kid from Queens that didn't have much more. Like, I didn't go to college. Just took it, and I totally just poo pooed that thing. I was like, there's no other job in the world for me, and just left it. And yeah, they say it's not a calling.
When you retire, you really lose that ticket to the front row. You say the front row seat to the greatest show on earth, and I tell you, the past year and a half, it's not really an easy adjustment to retire.
Nope.
I guess after all those 27 years, it's still a part of you that, you miss and you can't get it back, It's like, wow, you look back, it went so quick,
But you miss that connection.
I loved every minute of it.
Yep. I'll tell you, I had that conversation with my friends where I remember doing like search warrants in the 4-6, and we'd be like 4-3 o'clock in the morning, whatever, going to kick a door in, and I would call. I swear to God, this is a true story. I would call them up on the phone at like 2 a.m. on a Sunday. On a summer like Friday night at 2 a.m. There, and I'm like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" Like, "Oh, we're in the blah blah blah, wherever, And like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm at work, and we're about to kick a door in." Because there was no place I'd rather be. My career was cut short because I was injured. I never remember going to work ever. I swear to God, I swear to my kids, I never remember driving into work thinking, I don't want to go into work today, ever. And I worked in a crap hole. Like I loved the work. The guys I worked with, the men and women I worked with, were just amazing. And that was the biggest kick in the nuts when I retired, was that I'm not going to have that. And it did, because I got out early, so all the guys I work with continue to work for the next 8 and 10 and 12 years. So I was not part of that. So when you do your 20 or 25, you kind of all retire around the same time. So you're in it together. I left early because I was injured.
What's nice is you still have the fraternal groups. Which before the COVID I was still going. We still go to the Columbia meetings, the Anchor Club meetings, the Holy Name meetings. It's a way of keeping, still keeping part of the job alive in you.
No.
I kind of miss it now because of the COVID, but looking forward to hopefully starting back up the meetings again.
But you're probably making a lot of tomato sauce and stuff, right? Jarring up some stuff.
It's a great job, and I think Pat, we came a long way, since he became president.
Well, we appreciate the call in. Like I said, we wanted to really humanize Pat a little bit, and honestly, after the conversation we had for an hour and a half, I don't think it was necessary because what we had here is certainly not what we see on Fox and what we see on the other news stations that you do and CNN and whatnot. That this was definitely a place to kind of let your hair down a little bit and let's say I'm a human being first. And that was the intention of the call, and that just solidified that. No, we appreciate this, man.
You. Are you kidding
definitely
me?
Appreciate you.
And sharing the story, your family struggles is a big deal. It's a big deal. We appreciate that.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you, Tom. Thank you,
Pat. Carmine.
Hey, thanks,
good talking to you, man.
See you at Harry's, brother.
Same here. Be good.
Hey, motherfucker. All right, we're gonna do. We're gonna do a 5.
Walter Wazlowski's calling in right now.
Oh, Walter Waz. You know what? Walter?
4-6 delegate.
All right, you got Waz on the phone?
Yes.
Awesome.
Come on now.
Are we in it now? Waz.
Walter.
Hey, what's going on
What's
there?
up, Waz?
Hey, what's up, Walter?
Hey, man, thanks for so much for calling in, bro. This is a big show for us.
Hey, I was doing a security gig, and I'm with my client, and I'm scrolling through my phone, and I said, special guest, Patty Lynch. I said, wow, and then I got a message, hey, give a call in. I'm happy to be able to actually get on.
Oh, good stuff.
Here's another guy, 4-6 delegate, man. Gave up a lot of your life to
Hey, listen, remember, I was one of the first to invite you guys to the Blue Line.
That's exactly right. Right into the, you opened the door to us, man. You started it all, brother.
Awesome.
I won't say that, but hey, listen, you know what? I was honest. I said, hey, let's hear what you guys got to say. And, hey, I was honest with you, and you guys were honest with us, and it worked out. And you're doing a hell of a job.
Hey, I appreciate that, Walter, man. Hope you're enjoying your retirement, kid.
He's not retired.
Yeah, life is good.
Security
NYPD, obviously, the policing in America is probably the toughest point it's ever been,
And I'll tell you what, Walt, a great point. And we talked earlier about how some of the politicians here are saying that the NYPD is on a slowdown, but you run the NYPD Valor page on Facebook, and every single day there are gun collars, multiple gun collars. At some point, there were guys that were going at like a sergeant and 3 cops, and the 3 cops are coming in with 3 separate gun collars. So anyone that thinks that the NYPD is on a slowdown, you should allow just regular citizens to check in on your page.
No, don't do that.
Because man,
Don't do that.
the men and women
Don't listen to Tommy.
the men and women on this job are killing it. They're killing it. Those guns are coming in just like they always have been.
There's a lieutenant in the 6-0. He went out in one tour, took in 3 guns.
Crazy.
And I wrote him like a little note. And he's like, "Oh, I'm in awe that I'm honored that you reached out to me." I go, "You're honored." I go, "In my career, I never took 3 separate guns in one tour."
I think at one point there was a sergeant. There was a sergeant that actually took the collar. There was something a couple of days ago where there was a gun collar, and the sergeant actually took the collar.
Yeah, I think it was don't quote me. I was either Midtown North or Midtown South.
And then guys chimed in, guys that knew him, were like, "Dude, you took that collar?" Like,
You guys are trying to soften me on bosses? Knock it off. It's not happening. It's not happening.
Nah, dude, it's on fire, man. There's the slowdown stuff is BS. Cops are being cops. We're handling things a little bit differently. But you see a kid running down the street holding his waistband, he's getting stopped. Simple as that, right? That's not stopping. That's not going away.
Yeah, the young cops out there today, the motivation's there, and even though the deck is totally stacked against them, they have the heart, the will, and I hate seeing on social media, it's they don't make cops like they used to. They actually make them better.
Pat just said that.
That's exactly
Pat just
what Pat
said that.
Yep.
He's like, these younger generation cops, the newer generation, are doing it. Their heart is in it. Like you said, the cards are stacked against them, but they're out there doing it. You see all the retired guys on a lot of these Facebook pages. Oh, Junior, we would have done this. Listen, I'm not that guy. I'm not that we would have done whatever. We did what we did when we were there, and now you do what you do while you're there. Not Monday morning cutting back anybody. These guys are out there doing it.
That's awesome.
I took a lot of flack on my webpage because when the virus started, the Chinese virus started, cops cops still bringing in guns. And I was commending them, and I got a few private letters saying, "Hey, you shouldn't advocate that." I'm like, you still have a job to do. Be safe about it. Be smart. The rules never change. Always, most important thing is your safety, your pension, and going home to your family.
Yeah. You could still do the job without worrying about getting jammed up. Like, just you got to change the way you work, but the work is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you now? Where are you at now?
Man, I just left the city. I got a gig. I've been working 7 days a week. I can't really talk about it. I'm working on some pretty big things, and hopefully
Top secret. Without cursing, you'll be happy to know that Christian still keeps his cat in the cage 23 out of 24 hours of the day.
Cat that no longer have, right? Yeah, okay.
Well, if you're near Helden, New Jersey, what do you got?
I got a couple quick questions for you, Patty.
Yeah.
I don't remember where does the PBA stand with us suing now with the cameras, and if there's any. I heard you say earlier that the complainants, they don't go on record being sworn in. Mm-hmm. But do we have any are there any factors where we could sue or false allegations or?
You can always challenge that, but it's an uphill battle. Remember, the politics, the judges that get on the bench get there through politics. So the politics is so left now, it's a difficult thing. But what we have to do is get the legislators to make the system fair. Pass legislation. It goes back to the voting. Put the right people in those spots. So up in Albany, they passed a law that brings fairness. If you're swearing us in to tell the truth, you should swear them in to tell the truth, too. That'll fix the problem.
No, but I'm saying, where does it actually stand legally, for us to sue?
Yeah, you could sue, but I don't think it will be successful. But you can always do that. You can always do it in Article 78 to try to challenge.
Because they don't swear in.
Yeah.
If they swore in, it might be a little different, but it's not really.
So
swearing
step one
in.
is getting it stipulated that they have to swear in.
How do they change that though? I mean, look,
legislation.
You're in court, and there's two sides to every story. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to swear to tell the truth, and you don't have to swear to tell the truth.
No, absolutely. You'll go make a CCRB, and you don't have to swear that it's true. And we know that the way they stack the system against you, an active police officer is going to get a number of civilian complaints. Why? Because the perp knows the rules. The perp knows that I can stall their career, get them off the corner where I'm dealing drugs by derailing their career, by making complaints. Then what happens? Headquarters looks and says, "Oh, this guy has too many complaints. We got to put him on. We got to
move him around." Yeah,
we got it right. Exactly. So that they know it. They're playing the system. There's automatic things. They make a CCRB, and then the perps sue you. And again, There's no fairness in the process. That's all we're asking for. And the elected officials say, no, we can't do that. It will stymie the number of complaints that are coming in. No, it will stop the number of false complaints from coming in. You
It's
know
all
what
about,
false
it's all about
complaints are?
accountability.
Absolutely.
That's it. If you're accountable for your comments, that's it. Right? Hand on the Bible. Good to go.
For some.
So there's the answer, Walter. There's really nothing we can do until they actually change the law and make that that the complainant or any witnesses have to actually swear in to what the words that they're saying. But the same thing could be said about a 61, though. They sign off on a 61 and say, hey, this is what happened. And then 6 months later, say, well, it didn't really happen. Like, I signed off on my 61.
Yeah, you got
my
listen,
summons.
the people that are sitting in judgment of us need to hold themselves to the same standard that they're holding us to.
Well,
you know, well, I know. It's not going to happen. I know, but that's where the hypocrisy comes in. You know, they're so quick to point fingers. Well, all right. Well, hold yourself to the same moral standard.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with you holding me to that standard, but
I say the same thing.
hold yourself to the same one. Level the playing field a little bit. See what happens.
See how that works out for you.
Yeah, exactly. It won't.
All right, well, go back to work. Go back to your high profile,
listen, guys, good
your
talking.
high
Guys,
profile
keep the good work.
client.
Stay in the fight.
Thank you, Walt.
Always was.
Pal.
Y'all be safe.
Take
All right,
care.
later, brother. It's a good dude. 4'6" guy.
Terrific.
Fucking-
Always has
I
been.
know.
You dude, he was like him and like Corny Clark and John Basis, monster collar guys. Greg Manning was obviously
yeah,
the
absolutely.
dude. Greg got railed. Greg got railed on that ticket stuff. What a good guy. Shame, but is what it is.
Want to do a break, get him out?
Yeah, we'll do a break. Jacob, we'll take 5. Christian will probably eat pizza or pizza.
Pizza.
Christian will eat pizza and probably drink more bourbon. Just give me the hand.
One cycle.
Oh wait, all right, is there one more call? No. I'm just checking. You sure? What is this? Like magic?
Maybe.
What is
Who
this
knows?
magic? All right, we're gonna take a 5.
Yeah, that's what
We'll take 5. Pack up the truck, and we'll come back and continue our shenanigans.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, take us out.
Thank you.
If you are searching for a doctor that truly cares about your overall health and well-being, contact Dr. Alex at Tri-State Health and Wellness. For more than 11 years, Dr. Alex has been treating law enforcement professionals and their families while focusing on one-on-one care so you never feel rushed. All necessary testing can be conducted during your visit, and they feature flexible hours and appointments to accommodate alternating work schedules. Tri-State Health and Wellness is conveniently located in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Contact Dr. Alex today by visiting www.bluetristate.com. Mortgages for everyday heroes. From Michelle Hendershot and Homebridge Financial Services. If you're looking to purchase a home or refinance an existing mortgage, Michelle Hendershot can assist you every step of the way. With over 10 years of experience assisting law enforcement officers with their dream of owning a home, the choice is simple. Contact Michelle Hendershot today. Visit www.mortgagesforblue.com. Are you tired of sleeping alone each night? Feeling sluggish during your day? Is your snoring keeping your spouse awake at night? If you find yourself spending too much time on the couch, maybe it's time to visit Dr. Michael Doblin of At Home Sleep Solutions. Dr. Doblin is the preferred sleep apnea doctor of New Jersey's law enforcement officers. With the help of a custom-fitted oral device, you can finally say goodbye to noisy, antiquated sleep apnea machines. For more information and to schedule an appointment today, contact Dr. Michael Doblin. Visit www.bluesnore.com. Moment of Silence, Inc., along with Blue Suicide, is a non-profit organization founded to support and raise awareness about the epidemic of suicides amongst law enforcement, military personnel, and first responders. For more information on how you can help, visit momentofsilenceinc.org. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or a certified used vehicle, then visit Fetty Auto Group, located at the junction of Route 46 and Route 3 in Clifton, New Jersey. Fetty Auto Group stands shoulder to shoulder with the men and women in blue. Stop by and ask for Troy Mall and ask about the offers for first responders. For more information, visit FettyAuto.com. That's FettyAuto.com. The Blue Magazine, the law enforcement publication by law enforcement professionals for the men and women of law enforcement. The unfiltered voice of law enforcement. TheBlueMagazine.com. Are you patrolling with the pig? If not, you're doing it wrong. Check out all the newest swine swag at ProudPig.blue. They are dirty by design. Check it out now. Visit www.proudpig.blue for all your swine swag. Visit www.proudpig.blue. Resumes by Joe. Owned and operated by retired NYPD second grade detective Joe Federa. With over 20 years of professional resume writing experience and focusing on translating what we do as cops into language that the corporate world can appreciate. We put an emphasis on ensuring that your cover letter and resume will be best received by the applicant tracking system used by most companies today. Check out our website at www.resumesbyjoe.com or call Joe directly at 347-992-4523. Don't forget to ask about the 50% discount for BBO members and most unions across the country. Give us the job of helping you get the job. Contact Resumes by Joe today. If you're a member of the law enforcement profession and are looking to establish long-lasting business relationships with businesses that are blue-friendly, it's time to visit visitblue.com. Visitblue.com features some of the best doctors, lawyers, realtors, as well as other service providers, such as home improvement and financial services. If you are looking for reliable, trustworthy service providers, visit visitblue.com. That's www.visitblue.com. Founded in 2014 by retired NYPD police officer Michael Burke, Brothers Before Others is a national 501c3 law enforcement charity comprised solely of both sworn and retired police officers. Since their inception, Brothers Before Others has sent floral arrangements to the services of all line-of-duty deaths regardless of where in the country they occur, having spent over $350,000 to date. While the National Flower Fund remains their cornerstone, their benevolence has since grown well beyond that, even into the civilian world. For more information on how to get involved or to donate, visit brothersbeforeothers.org, or you can visit their public forums on all social media platforms by searching Brothers Before Others. Founded in 2016 by professional musician Neil Giraldo, 3-Chord Bourbon has developed a process that is defined as the perfectly tuned taste, blending carefully selected whiskey bourbon and rye whiskey stocks from Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana. Designed to be enjoyed with friends and family, 3-Chord Bourbon will leave you with the same feeling you experience after hearing that perfect song. You'll know their whiskeys are right from the very first sip. For more information on 3-Chord Bourbon and available merchandise, visit 3chordbourbon.com. Line of Duty Cigars, owned and operated by retired NYPD Detective Tom Werther. Visit lineofdutycigars.com for our handmade Nicaraguan cigars, custom ashtrays, custom humidors, and custom flask sets. Also, when you place an order, you choose a law enforcement, first responder, or veteran charity, and Line of Duty Cigars donates 10% to that organization. Planning a special event? Contact us today. Visit www.lineofdutycigars.com. And now, back to the Blue Room Podcast on the BlueBroadcastNetwork.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? And we are back with a full cast and crew here. We have Holly, Nick, and Johnny Blue joining us for the last piece of the show. So thank you so much. What a great little piece we had there. Not little. I want to belittle that segment with Pat Lynch, but that was on point. He had so many really great points to make, and I'm hoping that there are chiefs and commissioners and mayors that are listening to this and realizing what needs to be done in their cities and their municipalities to right the ship. All right, to right the ship, because we are not the bad guys, and most of society agree that we're not the bad guys. So hopefully you guys can take a piece of that and make it work. We got a phone call? All right, we don't have a phone call? I thought we had a phone call. All right, we had a phone call. We'll get to that phone call. But Carmine's story, I mean, Carmine's, you're on now? You got him? Hello, caller. Caller.
Hello.
Hello, caller.
Anybody there?
Hello. Is it you? No, is it
Hello?
me you're looking for?
Hello. From the other side.
Oh, jeez.
No?
Oh, God.
Please just keep going before he starts singing.
What happened?
They're connected. It's on their end.
All right,
we're
it's on
not.
their end.
All right,
We'll
so
keep
maybe
going until they
someone's
jump
muted.
in.
All right.
Can you hear me?
All right, let's go.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear?
No, that was phenomenal.
That was on point.
And
Invigorated.
for him, like you had said out there, not only just willing to come on, but to actually physically come in.
Yep. It's a huge milestone for us.
That's unbelievable.
So we didn't get to really hit on some of the stuff that we normally talk about. Law
Let me put my
enforcement.
heart monitor on first.
No,
Go ahead.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We hit Minneapolis City Council. We talked about that. Check.
Are you alive? You're good?
Can I see?
We're good. U.S. Deputy Marshal was shot in a drive-by in Phoenix on Tuesday. He was checking in the UPS delivery truck when a car slowed up and let rounds go. All right, hit the marshal in the chest multiple times. He took the rounds, got up, and returned fire. So tell me there's no war on police. All right, for all you folks that said there's no war on police, it's just random shit. It's not random shit. Okay, L.A. sheriff's deputies ambushed, sitting in their car in Compton. Guy walks up and starts shooting. Female deputy takes 2 in the face, 2 in the body. Her partner's hit in the head. She drags him. She not drags, but she helps him out with half a jaw. Is able to put the job over on the radio. Okay, and then the comments by former Florida congressional candidate Christopher Eagle. Ready? He said, "Where is the video of what happened before this shooting? I don't think we should prejudge this without full context. We can't rely solely on edited video that only shows the shooting. You may just be releasing the clip to inflame the public. How do we know it wasn't justified?" I don't give a rat's ass
I'm
what
glad-
happened before that video.
What's wrong with that
There's
guy?
no justification. Here, these are the same people that say they release a piece of police shooting and then claim that the cops were wrong.
I feel liberated that Pat has gone out, even though I don't have my curse jar, because now I go, when the fuck are we going to tell people like that just straight to their face that they're assholes? Like, when are we going to say, like, enough? Like, again, we sit there and we try to think, what are we trying to do with the show? What's the bigger goal with this? And part of it, I think, is I want cops to realize that, we do, by taking this job, by signing up for this job, we are voluntarily giving up a piece of our free speech in some fashion. But we're not giving up all of our free speech. Mm-hmm. We have the ability to still defend ourselves. We have the ability to still look at pieces of shit and tell them, you're a piece of shit. But we have to find a more creative way and a more polite way and a more professional way
75 cents.
of saying, I know it's 75. You keeping track?
Yeah.
No, 50 cents actually.
We have to get back to that point of realizing that cops still have the same rights as every other U.S. citizen. We still have that free speech, and I think that's kind of.
When you have a guy that was running for a congressional seat, and he says that guy that shot those 2 officers may have been justified
because he's pandering. It's the popular.
What could possibly happen before then that justified that?
It's the wave right now. That's pandering. It's popular right now, like Pat was saying, to demonize cops. That's the way.
Well,
so if you want to get votes, if you're somebody that's running and
he's not even running. He's not running anymore.
Good,
I have
fuck
2
him.
questions. Can this fall into the FU category?
That could totally
That's the
fall
first
into
one.
the
That's
FU.
my
But
favorite question.
we have a caller. We have a
Still?
caller. Yeah, no, the caller that we tried to get on. This is really.
Oh, this is a different one?
Wait, no.
From a criminal perspective, why is the remainder of the video not pertinent in that circumstance? Just asking.
Well, not the remainder. It was the beginning. He was claiming that what happened in the
But
beginning.
the fact that
Totality.
we see the subject shooting at 2 officers is enough already to classify as a crime.
I think.
And
Why the heck we need to see that first before that?
Let's but you've brought that female deputy up twice now. I mean, can we really for a second just recognize how badass that woman was? I mean,
Yeah.
Holly went to high school with her.
Again, I mean, we all sit and we talk about how we would respond
Badass.
in that kind of a situation. The reality
This is Jesse Hartnett badass.
the reality
Like, really.
again,
Yeah.
exactly.
Totally.
The reality is, we don't know how we're going to respond until we're actually physically in that situation.
You know why?
That woman, hold on, that woman was drowning in her own blood, legitimately. She had to, there you go. She had to be intubated because she had aspirated so much blood. The bullet that went through her mouth blew her tongue. So
God.
while she was trying to spit, imagine trying to spit without your tongue. It was pouring out, and she was literally breathing in her blood. She was drowning, but still had the sense to have her weapon out, which was on the ground, still get behind cover, still scan for suspects, put a tourniquet on her partner's arm, keep her partner behind cover, because you could see he was out of it, rightfully so. He took a round off the fucking forehead. He's allowed to be out of it. He just wanted to wander around, still to fight him, to keep him behind cover. I mean, and like you said, and call for help.
She caught two
while she was drowning.
She caught two in the jaw, and she still will speak more clearly than Christian.
That is a fact. She will absolutely properly pronounce pizza.
No, but
Wait, Josh.
We need this.
Josh in the booth.
No, Josh.
Not
Yes. Yes. Hello.
Jacob in the booth.
We
We have a caller
we need
that's
this
been
caller.
dying to get this call in. Go with it.
hello?
Hello?
Oh Jesus!
Oh my!
mother-
What a surprise!
Wait.
Wait.
What do you have to say?
Well, I want to say hello to everyone.
Well, before you do, turn the volume on your phone down first, because we're going to be getting feedback, and the fact that you're on the line already has my blood. I need my pulse ox on, and if I got to listen to your feedback,
On the floor. But what's the nice thing that you want to do right now?
go ahead, Eric.
Well, I heard it's Josh's birthday.
Aww,
You son of a
late
bitch.
though. You're 1 day late though.
You son of a bitch.
You're 1 day late. So
What do you have to say?
Happy birthday.
And I want to say happy birthday.
Oh,
You just want to say it?
I think you should sing it.
He should sing it.
yeah, you should.
He's got to sing it.
You got to sing it.
according to this pulse ox, I need oxygen.
All right. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Josh. Happy birthday to you.
Oh my God.
Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome, Josh.
You got.
You're
you
welcome.
Sons of
But,
bitches.
but Tom, going.
Look at Chris. Nothing has changed. Here's Eric on the phone, and Chris is just skipping right past him. But Tom, going to the next point, like Eric's not even there, just cutting him right off.
Well, that was genius. I got to get some sort of credit for that. That was fucking genius.
You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
But think about this. The two officers are sitting in a patrol car, right? They're probably talking. They're probably, looking at the computer, looking up, for, whatever they're doing, right? This random person comes, shoots them in the jaw. Your brain cannot process what the hell is going on, right?
Yes.
At the very moment,
You don't process what's going on. You process survival.
Yeah,
you go into survival mode.
your adrenaline is up to the roof in full speed, fully active. You
What's
don't
your
feel
point?
the pain right now.
What do you got?
So the
Conclusion, Chris.
conclusion is
Conclusion.
right. The fact that she got shot 2 times in the jaw and she was able to immediately know what to do. Most people cannot do what she can do.
It's muscle memory, but it is something. There is truth to the fact that they say if you respond when you're put in a situation like that, if you respond within that first 3 to 5 second window, your muscle memory will take over. If you don't, you will lock up. That's not cowardice. That's not that. Your body will freeze. You'll basically go into shock. You'll freeze. But if something in your brain triggers, all right, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. that muscle memory will take over.
Yeah,
but most people don't do that.
Raise your hand if you want to see Joshua's head explode.
No, stop. You son.
All right. L.A. County Sheriff Alex Villanueva challenged the overpaid and outspoken douchebag on the Lakers, who we will not give a minute of free press to by naming him, challenged him to match the $175,000 reward for info leading to the shooter.
I'll go last.
Here's the thing. What if this guy wakes up and says yes?
I'll go last.
Genuinely, he says yes. You know what?
Fuck him.
We need you. I think. Let me finish my question.
I said I'll go last, but I lied.
Yeah, apparently you're skipping the line. What if he says yes? We need change, but this is not how we get it. I condemn anyone that would purposely cause harm to any officer, and I'm matching that $175,000 to catch these cowards. What do you do now? Nope, you're going last. Shut up. You're going last. You're going last. Holly?
Find out if it's true. Find out if it's true.
No, it's his statement. It came from him. Let's just argue it came from him.
Last.
Okay. I want to know, is this factual? This really happened?
No, it's a scenario. The guy, he says, the sheriff challenged him. He goes, you got it. Here's $175,000. Let's catch this guy. It's wrong. What happens? What do you do with that money?
What do I do with the money? It would go to the PBA, of course.
The money was going to the person that was giving up the shooter.
Skip. Pass. Nick, what are you doing?
Nick.
Taking it or giving it back?
Giving it back.
Thank you.
Why?
Doesn't matter. I have to go. Go.
Oh,
next.
No. Why? The guy wakes up and goes, you know what? I was wrong. He genuinely says, I was wrong. I believe we need change, and I believe that we need to get this coward that shot those officers. I'll match that money.
No, regardless, giving it back.
All right, next.
I'm giving it back.
Why?
He's a scumbag. He's not going to do the right thing with it.
Yeah.
He's not doing anything with it. He's giving it away.
Nope.
I just don't. I'm not buying into it.
Nope.
Why would he say it? Why would he do it? He's not trying to gain popularity.
I think he has an ulterior motive in mind.
All right.
I still think he does.
So you're saying it's not genuine?
It's not genuine at all.
Okay.
Christian, do you like mozzarella on your pizza?
Oh my God! Stop
just
it,
say
bro.
just say yes or no.
Mozzarella on my pizza?
Yeah.
No.
No. All right, Josh.
Thank you. I appreciate that. He could take that money and he could shove it up his ass. Listen, if you need to be told to do the right thing, you do not get credit for doing the right thing. First of all, I don't even know why the sheriff would bring that piece of shit into this conversation. Why would he even do that? Why would he Why would he give that guy a platform that he doesn't even deserve? Because now by putting that out there, however he's doing it, because again, the argument is that, of course, he's saying that because he knows that other piece of shit is not going to do it, so they're going to further shame him. But yeah, like you said, what if he said yes? Now what?
Now Josh
Now
owes
what?
$2.
Or worse yet, what if he turned around and said, "Oh, look at these cops. They've done nothing but shit all over me for the last 2 weeks because of my Black Lives Matter stance. But I guess
and now they're not asking for money.
But they're not too proud to take my money." Why would you give that guy that platform? That's what happens when you put a microphone in front of a house mouse. Tell that guy to take his money and shove it up his ass. And that's why I said it's up to the national and local unions.
Don't touch my notes.
I apologize. At least I didn't spill shit on like Kristen. It's up to. It's amazing how fast the curse jar thing goes out the window when Pat's gone. Like now, just like that's where I said it's up to the national and local unions to step up and start matching that. And I think I saw on your computer when you were browsing around, it's up to $300,000 now.
Yeah, $300,000.
It is increasing. But why would that guy? Why bring that guy into the? I don't understand it. It made my head explode. Like you said, it made my head explode. Oh, son of a!
There's no brain matter.
First my notes, now my cigar.
I don't see no brain matter coming out from Josh's head. So
it made my head.
How red his face is? What are you kidding me?
It made my head explode when I saw that. I don't for the.
Have a second chance, but
No.
Johnny.
I'm not saying that.
What do you think will happen 5 years from now? All this BS going on.
Yo, Chris just started his own show. Chris just started.
5 years from now, what? God, what?
All right, Chris, that's what we're going to do. We're going to pretend that none of these other people are here.
Just look into my eyes.
Okay.
It's just me and you right now.
All right.
Brother, this got deep.
In 5 years,
Yeah.
in 5 years, you're going to be able to say the word pizza.
No, I mean, I think I don't know. I don't want,
Thanks, Tommy.
All right.
Now,
Next on, says this is my goal. My goal is to put Josh in the insane asylum. Next on the will Josh's head explode?
prepare.
Schools, and Black Lives Matter.
I'll go last.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, schools and Black Lives Matter.
I'll go last.
Be strong, Josh.
No, I'm gonna let that one go. We'll say that.
No, do it. Come on, don't be afraid. Come on, do it.
No, there's more important stuff.
Oh, God.
Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Okay, the protest in Lancaster. Okay,
Yeah.
I know about that.
What do you know about it?
What, the Amish are protesting?
No, what the?
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right. Multiple people got arrested right now. They're set for $1 million
Why?
in bail
Why?
for throwing in objects at the police station.
What started? What precipitated?
The shooting.
What shooting?
A man was holding a knife towards a police officer, and the officer shot the guy.
Look at this. I give you way more credit now than I thought I would. So the cops get called to the house. Guy's got a knife. He's mentally unstable. We talked about it earlier, where he attacked. He came after the cop with the knife raised above his head, and the cop shot him.
There's a picture of it too on the article.
So they decided to riot, and then what Lancaster did, which is what Portland didn't do, and Minneapolis didn't do,
Yep.
and Seattle didn't do,
New York City.
and LA didn't do, and New York City didn't do, is they arrested the protesters and they held them at a high bail.
$1 million.
Some of them were $1 million bail, and they're saying we're being treated unfairly. No, when you riot and you destroy public property, you should be held accountable. Simple as that. They began rioting, so immediately, so all the neighbors there knew the guy was unstable. Okay, they knew he was unstable. If the cops show up and they don't take action, and that guy stabs a neighbor or a cousin, the cops are wrong for not stopping it. So the cops actually stopped it because the cop's life was in danger. Because the cops' lives don't matter. The citizens' lives matter more,
Right.
which is wrong. All lives matter.
Right.
And if you're going to kill somebody, whether it be the cop that shows up or the neighbor next door or your mother, the threat needs to be stopped.
They clearly felt threatened enough to call the police.
Yeah.
So something was going on.
The guy in
that they-
Rockland, in Rochester,
the-
the brother called the cops on his own brother.
They
Said he's out. He threw himself down a set of stairs. He said he was going to kill us. Come here and help us. They put the spit hood on him, and he expired.
Yeah.
Come on.
hours later. But and ironically, they said he suffocated in the spit hood, yet they protested by wearing spit hoods for hours, sitting outside.
Well, because they weren't on crystal meth and PCP and all the
No,
other shit.
Facts don't matter.
Oh, I'm
shut
sorry.
up. Just
You're
scream.
right. You're right.
Just scream
You're
really
right.
loud.
You're right.
Just scream really loud and say say ACAB and call your friends bootlickers and everything's all right.
Go back to the school. What was the big thing?
Go away, Christopher.
What?
Or Christian.
All right, thank you. Say my
I
name right for
apologize.
once.
Whoa! Shit.
Wow.
Getting
All right,
tested.
we'll wrap up.
Can we do the FUs now?
Yeah, you have an FU? Yeah, or is it just an F me?
FU, Tommy.
There it is.
Ooh, okay.
I was going to get into the whole wildfires in California, Washington, Oregon. There's
That ain't new.
There's 12 states. No, there's 12 states that are burning as far down as Texas.
Well, they
They're
deserve
a mess,
it. They
and,
deserve it. I don't care.
But know that we are definitely we have the hearts and souls of the firefighters that are there and traveling from other states to help that.
Yep.
It's a mess. It's really strange how the firefighters, the wildfires stop at the border of Canada or Mexico.
Doesn't listen. Wait, what Tommy's saying was that it doesn't matter why they started.
It's
These guys are
they're
fighting.
They are killing themselves.
Yes.
It's over 3 million acres right now.
Wow.
It's really a small percentage of California. It's a huge state, but the lives that are being lost, and
Yep.
it is what it is. And no, this is a police show, but we totally have the lives of our firefighters and our military in mind when we say we got you. I don't know how we can help you.
Bravest for the reason.
But it's fucking brutal.
Yeah.
And these guys are going to work every day knowing that I'm going to work 12 to 15 hours and then come home and sleep for 6 hours and go back and do it again. Knowing, first of all, so they've said that they don't feel that those fires will be under control before the end of October.
Oh God!
So you have firefighters going in there saying, thinking in their mind and knowing that you have another 6 weeks. 6 weeks of this. It's
and they're sleeping outside.
they're sleeping, dude. They're
Wherever
sleeping
they can.
wherever they can against a tree. It's a
even
mess.
even the smoke has arrived into New Jersey, New York, even Europe, Germany, the Netherlands.
The smoke actually
Here,
is so
yeah.
thick here that for the last 2 or 3 days you can actually
Yeah.
look
Yeah.
directly at the sun.
And take pictures.
There's 12,000 firefighters every day fighting.
That
those.
never happened before.
Yeah, it has, just not at this rate. They have wildfires.
No,
every
but the
year.
fires the smoke never reached to New York or Europe. That never happened before.
They have what's called conservation camps. So they have people that are in jail that are trained to be firefighters. So, and I didn't know this. Yeah. So they're inmates that are trained to be firefighters, depending on what crime they were.
So it's probably like in Jersey with like the medium security, like the highway detail guys.
Yeah. So they fight fires and they do search and rescue. They get paid between $2 and $5 a day, depending on their experience. But they train them for that. But not every inmate. I didn't know. Not every inmate can actually apply for this. They don't take sex offenders, arsonists, or those with a history of escape. But they are using their guys in jail.
And what part of California is burning right now? Because I've heard Oregon's burning.
Dude, all of it.
Oh,
it's
God.
it's from north to south. It's
Jeez.
Oregon. It's Washington. It's Nevada. It's Texas.
Texas.
There's fires in Texas that they're saying are related. Here's the thing, though. They've made around a dozen arrests for arsonists that are starting fires.
Arsonists whose aliases are climate change.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's climate change is starting these fires.
You know what's crazy?
And they're all getting arrested for it.
we have like 5 hurricanes forming in the Gulf and in the Atlantic Ocean.
So we got to move them northwest. Is what you're saying?
One's going towards
All right,
Alabama, Louisiana.
It is 10:30. It's we're 2.5
crazy,
hours
man.
in.
Great show, boys and girls.
We have other stuff that we can go on.
We'll get to the Black Lives Matter.
We'll get to the Black Lives
Yeah,
Matter
do it
school.
now.
No, next week. Next week. Speaking of next week,
Big show next week also.
Huge
show. Next week we
Holly
will have.
says it's huge.
We will.
Sorry.
We will have. Go ahead.
Sorry.
You guys first. I'll plug it last.
No, I go last.
You go last.
You can go
first.
next.
What do
to
you
last.
got?
Holly? What do you got?
I have to live with my own toes.
Holly lives with her own toes.
To BBO Public. So Brothers Before Others Public, keeping it real all day long. We're getting some hate and lots of love. I want to give a shout out to BBO Public.
Well, there goes Johnny's plug.
No, that's not Johnny's plug.
Nick hasn't said 2 words. He laughed a few times.
Bring the heat, Nick. Bring the heat.
Oh, is there something you want to talk about?
I'm good.
You're good?
Wow.
I would say BLM in schools, but we'll hold that off.
Yeah, no.
I got some stuff because I think that it's an important lesson to teach the kids.
No, save it for next week. I'm ignoring you. Save it for next week, please.
God bless you.
Go ahead.
All right.
Johnny Blue. There's always FUs.
www.proudpig.blue. If you're not patrolling with the pig, you're doing it wrong.
Dude, you really got to start doing voiceovers with the industry guy.
You could be
Where I have does he still exist?
I don't even know.
I haven't seen him in like a year and a
Jacob,
half.
does the industry guy even exist anymore? Oh, he does call you once in a while.
You
All
could be the
right.
next industry. That
He
man
calls you to tell you what you're doing wrong.
No, you could be the next Joel Amir, honestly, or even better than Joel Amir.
The next Joel
The
Amir.
next.
Wow.
Joe Lemire.
Better than Christian. You ever read? You have a live
Hopefully,
read?
I'm not too white.
Okay, my plugin is Blue Snore. If you snore like a horse, yeah, like that. No, not like that.
Oh.
If you snore like a horse or you don't want to snore,
How does a horse snore?
I have no idea.
Horse is a horse, of course, of course.
If you are snoring while sleeping, just go to bluesnore.com and schedule your appointment with Dr. Doblin. That's all I have to say.
Hold on.
And also,
Oh, did you get your legs scoped out today?
yeah, I did.
So why don't you tell us who scoped your legs out?
Dr. Rod?
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so
Your veins are dilated, correct?
yes, that's what
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
bad thing?
Can you get rid of that tumor on your cheek?
That has to do with the legs, bro.
Wait, so you're
It's
all right.
not
So
the
your
tumor.
so your legs, the veins being dilated is a bad thing.
Yeah, because within the vein there's a valve, right? That valve helps the blood to be pumped upwards,
Holy
back
shit,
to
my
your
brain
body.
hurts already.
So basically, the blood gets stuck in your legs. When
Forms clots.
yeah, over time, yeah, but
And that's why you get a hard on your ankle.
the older you get, the more stretched out
Sorry.
that vein is.
Sorry.
Okay.
Right. So what?
So go ahead.
He's got some thick ankles.
He really
Did you get
does.
the groin examination?
Cankles.
No, grown examination. No.
All right, I'm done
So,
with you.
Yeah.
so our next
I'm done
show,
with you.
our next show is Wednesday the 23rd, 8 to 10 in studio. We'll have a former NYPD police officer, professional model actress, Carol Shaya. We will also have with us Connecticut State FOP president.
Krupinski?
Yeah. Fox Patriot Award winner and Danbury police sergeant.
Krupinski is the shit.
John
bro.
Krupinski.
Awesome.
I mean, anybody that's attended Police Week already knows he's the MC of Police Week. For those that don't know, you will most likely recognize him as the hockey coach that gave the viral speech to his players that if you are going to disrespect the national anthems of the United States or Canada, you can leave now because you will, well, actually he said you can get the fuck out now because you will not see 1 minute of ice
25
time.
cents.
Dude, listen, we've got rid of the
$2.25 actually.
Don't act like you can count.
I got that
Christopher.
one. I got that one over here.
Yeah, there you go. So again, that's next Wednesday night, 8 to 10.
All right. FU to the Virginia House of Representatives.
How do you get an FU in as your plug? What?
I can have two plugs.
That's what she said.
They passed a bill that removes qualified immunity for all of law enforcement officers.
What?
Right? It originally failed to pass, and then they resubmitted it, and they got it passed. The removal of QI now allows anyone to sue an officer for an on-duty related incident, even if the officer is found to have not broken the law.
What
This
the fuck,
is
man?
ridiculous. So the officer did his job or her job, did not break the law, and they're allowed to get sued now personally, civilly, and the job will not protect them. Every single case will lead to a civil award in
Every single one.
Every single one.
Well,
Every single one.
Virginia's going to shit. That's what I'll have to say right now.
I thought it was for lovers.
And then my plug
No, it's
is
not.
obviously www.lineofdutycigars.com.
Lots of questions on where the cigars came from.
Nicaragua.
Lots of
Nicaragua.
questions.
Nicaragua.
Where we purchased that.
Well, you go to www.lineofdutycigars and you can buy all the cigars. I think.
Do you know who should probably have a cigar package today? No. Maybe
Oh,
by tomorrow.
Ray?
Good job, Tommy.
Yes,
Good
Ray.
job. Say you're sorry. Just say you're
Ray.
sorry.
Just say sorry.
Oh, Josh only gave me his address.
Oh,
2 days
stop
ago.
it. Just
Cut
say
the
you're
crap.
sorry. Own it.
I'm sorry.
That a boy.
I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
Jimmy from Detroit will get a package of cigars
Jimmy.
shipped out tomorrow. I promise.
Thank you, Ray.
All right.
Ray.
LondonDutyCigars.com. Any events you're doing, any sort of fundraisers you're doing. We're going to do a Knights of Columbus fundraiser on Saturday. We'll be out there in Oceanside doing what we do. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to Pat Lynch and his guys for coming out.
That was tremendous.
And,
That was
and
tremendous.
Spreading the wealth and talking about us and what we do. And yeah, it's tremendous. It's not local. This is global. This is all over the country. It's all over the world. The way law enforcement is being treated, and Pat is the voice to hopefully rectify this and fix it. We'll be back next week on what day?
23rd, Wednesday.
23rd Wednesday. That's it. I think I'm available. Yeah, I'm very available.
Wheels up.
We're
Prince
out.
Sangria.
Jacob.
Wrap it up.
Take us out.
Later, guys.
All right.
If you are searching for a doctor that truly cares about your overall health and well-being, contact Dr. Alex at Tri-State Health and Wellness. For more than 11 years, Dr. Alex has been treating law enforcement professionals and their families while focusing on one-on-one care so you never feel rushed. All necessary testing can be conducted during your visit, and they feature flexible hours and appointments to accommodate alternating work schedules. Tri-State Health and Wellness is conveniently located in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Contact Dr. Alex today by visiting www.bluetristate.com. Mortgages for everyday heroes. From Michelle Hendershot and Homebridge Financial Services. If you're looking to purchase a home or refinance an existing mortgage, Michelle Hendershot can assist you every step of the way. With over 10 years of experience assisting law enforcement officers with their dream of owning a home, the choice is simple. Contact Michelle Hendershot today. Visit www.mortgagesforblue.com. Are you tired of sleeping alone each night? Feeling sluggish during the day? Is your snoring keeping your spouse awake at night? If you find yourself spending too much time on the couch, maybe it's time to visit Dr. Michael Doblin of At Home Sleep Solutions. Dr. Doblin is the preferred sleep apnea doctor of New Jersey's law enforcement officers. With the help of a custom-fitted oral device, you can finally say goodbye to noisy, antiquated sleep apnea machines. For more information and to schedule an appointment today, contact Dr. Michael Doblin. Visit www.bluesnore.com. Moment of Silence, Inc., along with Blue Suicide, is a nonprofit organization founded to support and raise awareness about the epidemic of suicides amongst law enforcement, military personnel, and first responders. For more information on how you can help, visit momentofsilenceinc.org. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or a certified used vehicle, then visit Fetty Auto Group, located at the junction of Route 46 and Route 3 in Clifton, New Jersey. Fetty Auto Group stands shoulder to shoulder with the men and women in blue. Stop by and ask for Troy Mall and ask about the offers for first responders. For more information, visit FettyAuto.com. That's FettyAuto.com. The Blue Magazine, the law enforcement publication by law enforcement professionals for the men and women of law enforcement. The unfiltered voice of law enforcement. TheBlueMagazine.com. Are you patrolling with the pig? If not, you're doing it wrong. Check out all the newest swine swag at ProudPig.blue. They are dirty by design. Check it out now. Visit www.proudpig.blue for all your swine swag. Visit www.proudpig.blue. Resumes by Joe. Owned and operated by retired NYPD second grade detective Joe Federa. With over 20 years of professional resume writing experience and focusing on translating what we do as cops into language that the corporate world can appreciate. We put an emphasis on ensuring that your cover letter and resume will be best received by the applicant tracking system used by most companies today. Check out our website at www.resumesbyjoe.com or call Joe directly at 347-992-4523. Don't forget to ask about the 50% discount for BBO members and most unions across the country. Give us the job of helping you get the job. Contact Resumes by Joe today. If you're a member of the law enforcement profession and are looking to establish long-lasting business relationships with businesses that are blue-friendly, it's time to visit visitblue.com. Visitblue.com features some of the best doctors, lawyers, realtors, as well as other service providers, such as home improvement and financial services. If you are looking for reliable, trustworthy service providers, visit visitblue.com. That's www.visitblue.com. Founded in 2014 by retired NYPD police officer Michael Burke, Brothers Before Others is a national 501c3 law enforcement charity comprised solely of both sworn and retired police officers. Since their inception, Brothers Before Others has sent floral arrangements to the services of all line-of-duty deaths, regardless of where in the country they occur, having spent over $350,000 to date, while the National National Flower Fund remains their cornerstone, their benevolence has since grown well beyond that, even into the civilian world. For more information on how to get involved or to donate, visit brothersbeforeothers.org, or you can visit their public forums on all social media platforms by searching Brothers Before Others. Founded in 2016 by professional musician Neil Giraldo, 3-Chord Bourbon has developed a process that is defined as the perfectly tuned taste, blending carefully selected whiskey bourbon and rye whiskey stocks from Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana. Designed to be enjoyed with friends and family, 3-Chord Bourbon will leave you with the same feeling you experience after hearing that perfect song. You'll know their whiskeys are right from the very first sip. For more information on 3-Chord Bourbon and available merchandise, visit 3chordbourbon.com. Line of Duty Cigars, owned and operated by retired NYPD Detective Tom Werther. Visit lineofdutycigars.com for our handmade Nicaraguan cigars, custom ashtrays, custom humidors, and custom flask sets. Also, when you place an order, you choose the law enforcement, first responder, or veteran charity, and Line of Duty Cigars donates 10% to that organization. Planning a special event? Contact us today. Visit www.lineofdutycigars.com.